What's up guys, this is your favorite fanfic YouTuber, the Fanfic Majesty. Join my Discord if you want to chat and share your thoughts, the link is in the description. 8 nanoseconds chapter 196. Crocodile's defense break. Su Ming was very satisfied with Cobra's understanding. Putting down the wine glass, Su Ming walked up to Cobra with a serious expression. Facing Su Ming, Cobra felt more pressure and lowered his head unconsciously. Su Ming said, "Since King Cobra has confessed to his crimes, as Celestial Dragons and Marine Admiral, I have no choice but to punish you for your actions." Cobra lowered his head and dared not to refute. From now on, Alabasta's tax revenue will increase by 10% over the next 10 years. Cobra's breathing hitched. Raising taxes by 10% will definitely put a lot of pressure on Alabasta. Even Alabasta is likely to have financial problems. But even so, facing Su Ming, Cobra did not dare to show any opposition. No one understands the rights of Celestial Dragons better than him. If Su Ming is really annoyed, let alone the 10% tax, it is not impossible to launch a buster call to destroy Alabasta. Su Ming glanced at Cobra and took in his entire expression. Seeing that the other party did not show any inappropriate expression, Su Ming showed satisfaction in his eyes. Yes, he is a guy who knows the current affairs. Su Ming walked slowly to the gate. Cobra said nothing. At this moment, he felt a little regretful. Who would have thought that a pirate's backstage was actually a Marine Admiral? And this Marine Admiral is also a Celestial Dragons. If I had known this, I would never have gotten involved in this mess. What Crocodile does has nothing to do with me. Now, although Crocodile was driven away, Su Ming still has his eyes on him. I can only find a way to make amends later. I hope this gentleman will not mind. Cobra was filled with worry. Su Ming walked to the door, but suddenly stopped. By the way, there is one more thing I forgot to mention. Su Ming turned his head and looked at Cobra. Cobra's heart shuddered. Isn't the 10% tax penalty enough, and should the penalty be increased further? If that were the case, Alabasta would be in real trouble. However, Su Ming spoke next. Alabasta has a large population and is worth developing. If King Cobra is willing, the night bar can push more drinks here, and 30% of the local bar's revenue can be used as the country's management fee. Hearing Su Ming's words, Cobra was stunned. Are you telling the truth? Advertisement compared to the 30% revenue from local nightclubs, Alabasta's 10% tax is nothing. Cobra looked at Su Ming, not understanding why he did this. Because of him, Crocodile, who was working for him, had to leave. You know, Crocodile is probably looking for ancient weapon here. Such an important thing was ruined by myself. Instead of bearing a grudge against himself, Su Ming gave himself benefits. This made no sense at all. Why, King Cobra is not going to cooperate with the night bar. Cobra's heart trembled, and he vaguely guessed the reason why Su Ming did this. Su Ming is going to tie me to the same boat. Once he joins the night bar, Pluton's affairs can no longer be revealed to the world government. In other words, even if he said it, the world government would no longer believe him. Looking at Su Ming with a smile on his face, Cobra realized that he was involved in something serious. The man in front of me is a Celestial Dragon and a Marine Admiral. But it doesn't seem to be in the same camp as world government. King Cobra, do you want to accept the cooperation of night bar? Although Su Ming didn't say anything threatening. But Cobra knew that his answer was crucial, and there is only one chance. Hesitated for a moment. Cobra took a deep breath. I am willing to cooperate. If Alabasta offends the world government, it may be in danger in the future. But if Alabasta offends the man in front of him, he will be in danger now. Between two evils, Cobra had no choice but to agree to Su Ming. But after he finished speaking, Su Ming shook his head. No, not you, but Alabasta. The object of cooperation is the entire Alabasta. If the contract is broken, Alabasta will also be punished. After Su Ming finished speaking, he turned around and walked out of the office without lingering, leaving Cobra standing there alone, as if all the strength in his body had been drained. This guy is too dangerous. Cobra has seen strong men, and he has also seen Celestial Dragons. But neither the Celestial Dragons nor the mighty ones on the sea could compare to the guy in front of him. This guy not only possesses powerful strength, but also knows how to exploit people's weaknesses. The meaning of what Su Ming said just before he left was very clear. The two are already in the same boat. If Cobra betrays the night bar, the entire Alabasta will become the target of his revenge. This is also Cobra's only weakness. Not his relatives, nor his own daughter, but the entire kingdom. Advertisement. Cobra staggered 2 steps, leaned against the wall, and slowly collapsed to the ground. Some bad thoughts in my mind were completely dispelled. Su Ming walked out of the office and came to the rooftop of Yuyan again. Crocodile had fallen to the ground. Luffy looked a bit disheveled. There were no less than 100 wounds of varying sizes caused by the sand blade. But Su Ming could tell at a glance that Crocodile was very measured in his actions. Each wound on Luffy's body was just enough to bleed. Obviously, this is also to give Luffy a way to restrain his own fruit ability. Su Ming sat on the rooftop, watching Crocodile perform, and couldn't help but be amazed. Tisk tisk tisk, this is really embarrassing for Lao Sha. Just at this moment. Over there, Straw Hat Boy is over there. Smoker came at the right time. Oh no, the Marine is coming, run. The Straw Hat crew reacted and quickly took Luffy with them and started running away again. Smoker arrived at the scene, looked at Crocodile lying on the ground, then looked in the direction where Luffy and the others fled, and became hesitant. Damn it. Escort Crocodile back to the warship. Don't forget to use Seastone handcuffs. This guy has special abilities. Although Smoker wanted to chase Luffy, he couldn't let go of the pirates in front of him. The order has been issued to arrest Crocodile, and someone will take over the interrogation soon. Smoker could only reluctantly let Luffy go again. The moment Crocodile put on the Seastone handcuffs, he breathed a sigh of relief. It's not easy at all. Next time you accept a task, you must ask clearly. Smoker walked up to Crocodile. Crocodile, according to intelligence, you have violated the Shichibukai regulations and conducted illegal activities against the member countries of the world government. You are now officially arrested. I hope you will not resist. Crocodile mentally rolled his eyes. Resist? You must be crazy to resist. Do you know how hard it is for Lousy to wear these handcuffs? However, Smoker saw Crocodile's cold expression and thought that the other party was not convinced. Smoker, who had not caught Luffy, suddenly became even more annoyed. Humph, Crocodile, you're also a member of the Shichibukai. It's too weak for a Straw Hat Boy to defeat you. Crocodile, who originally didn't want to talk, suddenly lost his defense when he heard Smoker's words. Lousy is weak. Can you try saying it again? Do you know how hard it is for Logia to lose to a newbie who doesn't even know hockey? Try it with someone else, it would be strange if he doesn't get caught. Chapter 197. Wealthy. Okay. At the dock, Smoker escorted Crocodile back to Marineford. After all, they are Shichibukai-level pirates, so he can't be careless at all. But at this moment, the Den Mushi on the warship rang. Hello, I'm Colonel Smoker of Logetown. Smoker, I'm here on behalf of the world government to inform you that your actions this time are commended by the higher-ups for capturing the criminal Crocodile. When you return, prepare to come to the headquarters to receive the honor. Smoker was stunned for a moment, then his face darkened. I repeat, I didn't catch Crocodile. You can give this honor to whoever you want. Smoker, this is what the higher-ups say. Are you going to disobey orders? In Den Mushi, the attitude of world government officials is very tough. Smoker suddenly got angry and was about to speak back. A hand suddenly appeared and took the Den Mushi from his hand. Smoker, whether you like it or not, this is the world government. The orders from the world government officials came from the Den Mushi. However, he was interrupted before he could finish his words. Hello, this is Su Ming. Tell me what the world government said. Su Ming leaned against the warship's fence, looking nonchalant. The voice in the Den Mushi paused noticeably. Sir Su Ming. Yes, it's me. Just tell me if you have anything to say. Mr. Su Ming, it is the world government that wants to appoint Colonel Smoker as Commodore, but Colonel Smoker. The world government official stuttered. Get lost, Lousy is telling you. Smoker is Lousy's friend, it's not your turn to tell him what to do. He said he didn't want a promotion. Anyone who dares to talk to him about a promotion is going to make things difficult for me, Su Ming. You know what the consequences will be if you mess with me, right? You don't want to be haunted by a celestial dragon all the time, do you? On the other end of the line, world government officials were sweating. Sir Su Ming, I understand. I promise not to bother Mr. Smoker again. Su Ming nodded with satisfaction. Advertisement, yeah, that's good. Let's leave it at that. Don't talk about promotions in the future. Su Ming hung up the Den Mushi and turned to look at Smoker with a smile. How about it, buddy? Why don't you thank me for helping you solve your problem? Smoker looked at Su Ming in front of him. At this moment, Su Ming doesn't look like a Marine Admiral at all. A floral shirt and cool shorts. He also had a pair of sunglasses on his head. Haha, thank you. Thank you for your 2 words that made me a colonel for the rest of my life. Smoker said, gritting his teeth. You were pretending to be smart enough with that Den Mushi. What will I do in the future? Will I be a colonel for the rest of my life? Su Ming grinned and scratched his head. You can't blame me. It's you who didn't want to get promoted. As your old classmate, I just wanted to help you. You are such a fool. Smoker. Who said Lousy didn't want to be promoted? He just didn't want to be promoted for no reason and take the blame for others. You, on the other hand, have wiped out my political career with just 2 sentences. Su Ming smiled and walked up to Smoker and put his arm around his shoulders. Hey, brother, don't be so angry. What's the good of getting promoted? Let me say hello later. Even if you hold the rank of colonel, I will give you the treatment of a Marine Admiral. Don't you like smoking cigars? What brand is it? Tell me and I'll give it to you later. Smoker rolled his eyes. Haha, I can still afford a few cigars. It's too small. Who said I was going to give you cigars? I meant to buy the cigar factory and give it to you. If we like to smoke, we'll smoke as much as we can. Let's smoke one before and after each meal. Others smoke according to their mood, but we smoke according to the treatment schedule. How do you think? Smoker looked at Su Ming seriously. Did I offend you in some way? Take me as bacon? Su Ming shook his head. Really, I'm not so nice to everyone. Not bothering to pay attention to Su Ming's nonsense, Smoker looked at Su Ming and asked. I say, why are you here? You are also a Marine Admiral. Don't you have to be in charge of the naval headquarters? Su Ming walked to the railing and said comfortably while enjoying the sea breeze. Marine Admiral is also a human being, of course he needs to rest. I only have 2 vacations a year. Marine is really bullying me. I am on vacation now. I heard that Alabasta Casino is pretty good, come over and play a few rounds. Smoker nodded. How's your luck? Advertisement. Su Ming shook his head. Not very good, I lost nearly 1 billion. Hearing Su Ming's humiliation, Smoker smiled. It's rare that I can make you lose money. I suddenly have a good impression of this casino. Su Ming also nodded. Yes, so in order to reduce the loss, I bought the casino before the casino account was recovered. Smoker. You are such a financial genius. Smoker had a heart attack and quickly changed the subject again. I was wondering when your vacation will end. How about giving you a ride? Su Ming shook his head, took a glass of coconut water from Marine and said calmly. No, I just started my vacation, and I still have more than 170 days to go to work. Oh, you just started your vacation. Wait, what did you say? How many days are left until you get to work? Su Ming wrapped the straw. I said it wrong. Smoker wiped the sweat off his forehead and said, just like that, how could there be such an outrageous vacation? Su Ming nodded. Yes, this year the working days fall on Sundays, so the holiday should be over in 360 days. Smoker. Peefed. How is that possible? Even if you were a Marine Admiral, how can you approve such a vacation? Su Ming scratched his head. It's not that difficult actually. I just said I needed time to take care of the business, otherwise I might not be able to provide financial assistance to the world government, which would result in world government staff not getting paid. They readily approved my leave. Su Ming took out a note from his pocket, on which was the signature of the relevant department of the world government. Smoker. Smoker took a deep breath. Does what you just said about the cigar factory still stand? Su Ming looked at Smoker. What's wrong? Want a cigar? Smoker shook his head. No, I think being a Marine has no future. I want to go into business. I'm more knowledgeable about cigars. Just when Smoker was doubting his life, a familiar voice came from not far away. Okay, Su Ming, Hina is mad that you're here without telling us. Hina, dressed in a military uniform and looking very capable, walked towards Su Ming and Smoker with her hands on her waist. Hina walked in front of Su Ming, and the two were almost touching each other. Smoker turned his head silently. Hina tilted her head and looked at Su Ming with resentment. Tell me, why do you keep hiding from me? Chapter 198 Master and Disciple Fight. After meeting Smoker and Hina, Su Ming naturally had no way to stay in Alabasta any longer. Take Smoker's boat and return directly to the headquarters. During this time, Su Ming looked at Crocodile again. The Marine who was guarding Crocodile couldn't help but sigh when he saw that the other party had remained calm since he was caught. After all, they are great pirates of Shichibukai level and they never show their emotions. You know, if you are imprisoned and impelled down, you will never be able to get out for the rest of your life, but the other party didn't show any sign of emotional breakdown. However, in fact, Crocodile was indeed constantly controlling his emotions at this time. It's just that he wasn't suppressing sadness, he was restraining excitement. Boss Su Ming has promised me that he will get me out of impelled down within half a year. Moreover, Magellan, the warden in impelled down, is one of our own, so he can receive special care when he gets there. The boss used to be the director in impelled down. There's no point worrying about this. Just treat it as a vacation. The warship sailed on board for several days. Naval Headquarters, Office of Marshal Sengoku. Click, click, click. Garp sat on the sofa, munching on a bag of donuts, with crumbs all over the corners of his mouth. From time to time, you have to take a glass of water to moisten your throat. A vein throbbed on Sengoku's forehead. That's enough, Garp. You've been eating for 3 hours. Are you going to stop now? Laozi asked you to come to a meeting, not a dinner party. Hearing Sengoku's roar, Garp finally put down the donut in his hand. The greasy hands rubbed casually on Sengoku's sofa. The armrests of the sofa have been plated by Garp until they are as shiny as jade. Well, there's nothing you can't say over the phone, and you have to call me back from East Blue. Sengoku snorted. It's still your family's business. I feel that if your family doesn't cause trouble, the Marine's workload can be reduced by more than 80%. Your good grandson defeated Crocodile, and now there is a vacancy in the Shichibukai. Garp was stunned. Can that brat defeat Crocodile? Did Crocodile drink fake wine the day before? Even though Garp usually appears to be careless and unfocused, he is not really stupid and he has some understanding of the strength of several Shichibukai. Luffy now definitely cannot defeat Crocodile. Sengoku pulled out a stack of documents with photos attached from the drawer. Above are the details of Crocodile's defeat, see for yourself. Advertisement. Garp took the document, flipped through 2 pages, and threw the information to the ground. At this moment, the office door was kicked open again. Bang, not bad, the feel of the kick hasn't changed, but the sound isn't as nice as before. I haven't kicked for a long time, so my kicking skills are not so good anymore. The person who came was Su Ming, who had just returned to the headquarters. Looking at the dented door that had been kicked, the blood vessels on Sengoku's forehead seemed to be about to burst. Su Ming looked at the water in Garp's hand. Old man, why don't you drink tea recently? Is it not tasty? You be asterisk 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 D. You still dare to bring this up? Don't you know why I don't drink tea? Damn it, I can't stand it anymore. Fistbone impact. Damn it, are you serious, old man? Don't blame me then. Su Ming's body turned into lightning, dodged Garp's attack, and then took out a Den Den Mushi from his arms. Hey, Akainu, yes, I'm Su Ming. Someone is attacking celestial dragons right now. Come quickly and bring him to justice. The address is at the Naval Headquarters, Sengoku office. A thug named Monkey D. Garp is attacking me. What? You said you can't make it? What the hell are you doing as an admiral? I'll deduct a year's salary from you? Su Ming hung up the Mushi, looked at Garp, and flexed his wrists twice. Okay, go ahead and fight this time, someone's paying for it. Sengoku. Garp. You old B*****************. At the same time, Akainu was sitting at home arranging flowers and looking at the Mushi in his hand. What is this? You, the master and your disciple, are fighting and you are going to take away my annual salary. Damn it, it seems like this marine is going to be unable to function. I heard that there is a new Marine Force C in New World recently. How about applying for the job yourself and try a different boss? Half an hour later, the Sengoku office was in ruins from the aftermath of the fight between Garp and Su Ming. Su Ming sat on the gravel, swinging his legs, watching Garp and Sengoku stand up, holding their waists. Garp, look what a monster you got. In the past half hour, Su Ming and Garp Sengoku had a melee. Although all three of them are the top strength in this ocean, Su Ming has an extraordinary physique, high-speed regeneration. In addition, it was impossible for them to kill him, and the damage inflicted by Sengoku Garp was not as fast as Su Ming's recovery. On the other hand, Sengoku and Garp had bruised faces and looked miserable. Advertisement Garp wiped the corner of his mouth and glared at Su Ming fiercely. Damn it, next time I beat this kid, I have to call Aokiji as well. It's a pity that Zephyr is not in the headquarters, otherwise it would be safer to call him. As for why Garp is only called Aokiji and not Kizaru and Akainu. Because if these two are called, they may be instigated by Su Ming to rebel. As long as Su Ming is willing to spend money, Kizaru will definitely dare to use Yasukani no Magatama to attack him. As for Akainu, although he is very dissatisfied with Su Ming, he will probably obey Su Ming because of their identity as celestial dragons. Damn it, I'm a marine hero and a marine marshal, but I can't even beat this kid Su Ming in a group in the headquarters. Hey, we've already fought, so I say, you two old men, it's time to talk about whatever you have to say. Su Ming curled his lips. Sengoku Garp looked at Su Ming. Brat, is Crocodile yours? No one is a fool, and the two of them absolutely do not believe that pirates of Crocodile's level can be defeated by Luffy. Besides, Su Minghai happened to appear in Alabasta. Su Ming nodded. Yes, it is. Old man, let me tell you, you obviously slacked off when you were training Luffy. This kid can't even do hockey until now. As a grandfather, you have a lot of responsibility. Do you know how hard it is for Crocodile to lose to Luffy? He could easily kill that brat if he's not careful. Su Ming passed the buck. That and Garp don't buy Su Ming's tricks. Get lost, are you slacking off? Then what are you doing here, brat? You've been training Luffy a lot, right? Su Ming rolled his eyes. My training is targeted and you will see the results soon. Garp looked incredulous. Alright, stop arguing about these trivial things. Let's get down to business. Why did you let Crocodile lose to Luffy? Su Ming explained the whole story to Garp and Sengoku. Of course, the matter of ancient weapon cannot be discussed. Knowing that Crocodile was being targeted by the world government, Su Ming was using Luffy to get Crocodile out of the situation. The two also understood what Su Ming meant. Garp looked at Su Ming. You little brat, but this kind of thing can't be kept secret. The world government can't just listen to your one-sided story. A private interrogation is essential. Su Ming chuckled. Stinky old man, I have been doing business outside for these years. Do you know what I rely on? Garp. No conscience. Su Ming. I am just being stubborn. As long as I am stubborn enough, the world government will not be able to do anything to me without evidence. Chapter 200 Under Sky Island. In this grand line where pirates are rampant, there are many hidden treasures, and even if you spend your entire lifetime, you may not be able to explore them all. A large amount of wealth is hidden in unknown corners. But if we talk about the greatest wealth, apart from the great secret treasure that Roger mentioned, it might be the Golden Country on Sky Island. Others thought it was just a legend, but Su Ming knew very well that the Golden Country was real. Not only does it really exist, the gold reserves there are even more exaggerated than the legend. An entire town was built entirely of gold. In the original work, Luffy, that brat, only had to carry some gold products per person, and he was able to exchange them for 300 million belly at the base price. This amount of gold is really not even a drop in the bucket for the Golden Country. Even the Golden Bell seems insignificant compared to the entire Golden Country. The wealth there definitely reached trillions, which was just enough to help him complete the progress of the super satellite orbital cannon. Moreover, in addition to wealth, there is another person on Sky Island that interests him, Enel. This guy ate the Logia Thunderfruit. His strength is pretty good. If it weren't for his cheating nephew, Enel would at least be at the level of an elite vice admiral, or maybe even higher. If we can tame this guy and train him, he will definitely be a capable general. Maybe he could even serve as a substitute for me when necessary. Anyway, his abilities are lightning, and no one can recognize him when he puts on a mask and doesn't speak. If this clone performs well, maybe he can trick the 5 elders someday. A stand-in is often very useful at critical moments. The reason why I, Su, survive in the world is by passing off fakes as genuine. Su Ming was thinking when Khalifa suddenly opened the office door. Seeing Su Ming with a smile on his face, he couldn't help but ask curiously. What are you laughing at? Su Ming came back to his senses and saw that it was Khalifa who reached out and held him in his arms. I haven't seen this girl for a long time. The two of them have been very affectionate in recent days. Khalifa's queenly temperament is becoming more and more obvious nowadays. The tall figure paired with tight clothes makes people unable to take their eyes off. When Su Ming embraced her in his arms, Khalifa screamed, thinking that Su Ming was going to do something bad again. Stop messing around, I have something serious to tell you. Business? Khalifa nodded. Yes, I just received news that the world government seems to have discovered Pluton's construction drawings, the Water City shipyard. Advertisement, CP9's intelligence personnel have already infiltrated, and they are about to close the net. Do you need me to do anything? Khalifa is also a member of CP9 and has a comprehensive grasp of CP9's intelligence. Su Ming frowned, he had actually forgotten about this matter. It would definitely not be a good thing for me if the Pluton design drawings were controlled by the world government. The Pluton blueprints for Water City must be destroyed. Su Ming thought about it and looked at Khalifa. You also have the authority to execute this mission, so you should go there in person. No matter what, you can't let the design fall into the hands of others. I have some things to take care of, so I will go there in person later. Khalifa nodded. Okay, then I'll go to the Water City tomorrow. Time passes by little. Su Ming stayed at the naval headquarters for nearly a month. Looking at the increasing slacking points in his own attribute panel, Su Ming felt more at ease. Open black lens bracket host. Su Ming closed black lens bracket, talent, extraordinary physique, death-seeing eyes, Shira bloodline. Swordsmanship. Supreme Swordsman, Observation Hockey, top level. Armament color. Top. Conquerors, top open black lens bracket Thunder God Fruit, proficiency close black lens bracket. Skills. Ghost Sword, Elbaf Spear, Marine 6 Styles, Life Return, 6 King's Gun, Thunder God Martial Body, Susano. Open black lens bracket logging point, 43 million close black lens bracket. My current strength may not be enough to face 5 elders at once, but if I pull out 1 elder alone, he will definitely not be my opponent. Su Ming could feel that these old guys had already regarded him as a thorn in their eyes. If there was a chance to get rid of him, they would definitely do it without hesitation. You have to be careful, now his hockey and swordsmanship have reached top level. As for physical fitness, it is still improving due to his extraordinary physique. The benefits of growth-oriented talents gradually become apparent. His physical fitness had long surpassed Kaido and the Ant, but he showed no sign of stopping his growth. Even Su Ming himself doesn't know the limit of his physical strength. Su Ming looked at the 40 million slacking points in the system and did not spend them immediately. Advertisement. Now my own strength is already sufficient and there is no need to spend any more slacking points to improve it. You can choose a few top mechanical life forms from the mechanical arsenal. This way you can give yourself a few more cards. Just as Su Ming was thinking, the Den Den Mushi in the drawer suddenly rang. Looking at the Den Den Mushi, Su Ming was stunned. It's not because of anything else, it's just that the Den Den Mushi that was ringing was the one used exclusively by the night bar. If there is nothing important, generally no one will call. For example, if a merchant ship's cargo is hijacked and the opponent is too strong to handle it, they will call this Den Den Mushi. Su Ming frowned and pressed the answer button. Hello? Boss, I have something to report to you. Someone just caused trouble at the night bar on Guy Island. Someone is causing trouble. Do you need to call me for something like this? Su Ming couldn't help but feel a little angry. Who the hell is this new boss? Does he have to report such trivial matters to me? It seems that I have to talk to Khalifa later and screen the middle-level staff of night bar. Su Ming was about to hang up the phone when he heard the bar manager on the other end of the Den Den Mushi continue speaking. No, boss. The main troublemaker has a special identity. Su Ming was a little angry, and his tone was a little cold. In front of the night bar, there is no one with a special identity. As if he could tell that Su Ming was a little angry, the bar manager's voice trembled. Yes, I understand, boss. But that kid said he was Luffy, so if we execute him directly, it would be difficult for Mr. Garp. Su Ming. What I just said was a bit full. Damn it, I totally forgot about this. Wait a minute, don't rush to execute him. You just said that kid was causing trouble. Was he alone or what? Tell me in detail. The bar manager explained the situation in detail, and Su Ming finally understood what was going on. After all this time, it turned out that it wasn't Luffy who caused the trouble, but that he was beaten up by a pirate named Bellamy in the night bar. Su Ming didn't pay attention to other things. Bellamy and others were just minor characters. If Luffy wasn't involved, the bar manager would have crushed these people to death in minutes. What Su Ming cares about is that now that they have arrived at Guy Island. That means Luffy and his companions have already reached the bottom of Sky Island. Su Ming stood up and said to Den Den Mushi, "Don't worry about those guys for now, let them go, I will go there myself soon." Chapter 201. Newcomer, everything is fake. Grand Line Guy Island. The merchant ships of the night bar are docked at the pier. Not far away, at the hotel window, Bellamy looked at the boats in the night bar, a hint of greed flashed in his eyes. It seems that the night bar is not as scary as the outside world says. It turns out that legends are not to be trusted. Most of them are just to scare people. The night bar has branches all over the world, and basically no one dares to cause trouble in the night bar. But when they saw the Straw Hat Boy that day, they got a little emotional, and coupled with having drunk some wine, they lost control of themselves and caused a scene in the night bar. After waking up, Bellamy and his friends realized they had gotten into trouble and left in a hurry. These few days, they have been staying in the hotel, not daring to go out, and keeping an eye on the movements at the dock. If there is any sign of trouble, they will immediately sail away. However, In the past few days, apart from a merchant ship from the night bar that came to the dock and a masked man who got off, no one else was seen. After not seeing the night bar's revenge for several days, Bella became bolder again. Behind him, a young man wearing a cowboy hat, 2 sabers on his waist, and dressed in fancy clothes walked up and said, "Bella, aren't we here to find some gold to make a fortune? The drinks in the night bar are very expensive. Some rare and precious ones are more valuable than gold. Why are we still looking for gold? Can't we just rob the merchant ship?" As soon as these words came out, the eyes of several people in the room lit up. Yes, the night bar is famous for being rich on the sea. In that case, why should I bother looking for gold? Wouldn't I make more money by just robbing merchant ships? Bellamy was somewhat tempted, but the legends on the sea still made him feel a little worried. I heard that even the 4 emperors of the sea dare not provoke the existence of the night bar. What if? Before Bellamy could finish his words, the young man in the cowboy hat interrupted. Bellamy, you are too cautious. There are so many legends like this on the sea. How can you take them seriously? Just like the golden country that the straw hat boy mentioned before, do you think that kind of place really exists? Don't forget, we are new pirates. Some unrealistic fantasies and old and unreliable legends will not affect us. With Bailey, we can do whatever we want. This is pirates. After these words, Bellamy was completely moved. He turned his head and looked at the merchant ships docked at the port again, with a hint of ruthlessness in his eyes. At the same time, in the office of the owner of the night bar on Guy Island, Su Ming was sitting on a chair, and the manager of the local night bar was standing opposite Su Ming. Boss, that's what I just said. The ones causing the trouble are a few newcomers who just entered the Grand Line. Master Luffy has already left. How about I send someone over to take care of those guys now? Su Ming shook his head. Forget it. We don't need to deal with such a small person ourselves. We can just kill him next time we see him. Advertisement. How's the news exploration of Sky Island going? The bar manager didn't pay much attention to Bella and the others, and instead reported on the matters concerning Sky Island. Boss, after investigation, we found that the legendary Golden Country is 10,000 meters above this Sky Island. There are 2 ways to get to Sky Island. One is to start from the top of the West Sky. You will encounter several Sky Islands along the way. The other way is to ride on a special wave called a monster current and rush up into the sky to reach there directly. Although this method is convenient, it is very dangerous. There is no absolutely safe way to get to Sky Island yet, and Sky Island is one of the few places where we don't have a bar. The bar manager introduced. Su Ming raised his eyebrows. Isn't Sky Island opening a night bar yet? That's great, I'll go and take a look myself. The bar manager heard this and reminded. Boss, if you want to go to Sky Island, you'd better hurry up. According to our information, the recent strange ocean current is about to start. If you want to wait for the next time, we don't know when it will be. Su Ming nodded. I don't have the habit of taking a detour, so of course it's impossible for me to go around the top of the West Heaven. Su Ming was just about to get up when a staff member from the night bar suddenly rushed in a panic. Boss, something bad has happened. The bar manager frowned, turned around and said angrily to the staff who came running over. What are you doing in such a hurry? The bar manager wanted to continue scolding, but Su Ming waved his hand and asked the staff who came over. What's wrong? What happened? The staff took 2 breaths. Boss, our merchant ship was hijacked. What? Who is so bold as to rob a merchant ship in our bar? Before Su Ming could speak, the manager of the Gaia Island bar had already become extremely ugly, and the murderous intent in his eyes could no longer be concealed. Who is so blind as to dare to rob a merchant ship from the night bar, and at this time? Su Ming, the real big boss, is still sitting here. It was a slap in the face to see the merchant ship he managed being hijacked in front of his big boss. The staff member stammered, yes, those new guys who caused trouble in the bar a few days ago. The bar manager suddenly became furious. Damn it, those guys were lucky because the boss's nephew was present and had let them go. Instead of leaving here quickly, they even dared to attack the night bar. They are really looking for death. The bar manager quickly bowed and apologized to Su Ming. Boss, it's my fault for mismanaging. Please give me some time. I'll go get rid of this ignorant guy right now. Advertisement. But when the manager of the famous bar finished speaking, Su Ming stood up, shook his head, and straightened his collar. No need. A strange current is about to start. I should go to the port and take care of it. I have a mission for you. Organize a large number of ships for me on Gaia Island. I am useful. If you can't handle this matter well, you don't need to tell me to jump into the sea and feed the fishes. Su Ming finished speaking and turned and walked out of the office. The countless gold in the Golden Country cannot be transported down by many ships. Preparation of the vessel is essential. Watching Su Ming leave, the bar manager breathed a sigh of relief, then reacted, looked at the stunned staff, and yelled. What are you still doing here? Didn't you hear what the boss said just now? Go and prepare the boat. Yes. The staff member was startled and quickly stood up and ran out. At the same time, at the port, on a merchant ship in the night bar, Bellamy and his companions were sitting on the deck drinking to their heart's content. Ha ha ha, I didn't expect there are so many good things on this merchant ship. We can't even afford these wines normally. Ha ha ha, yeah, it seems that the night bar isn't that great. The people escorting the goods are so weak that I didn't even use my full strength. It turns out that legends are not to be believed. This is the real fun of being a pirate, you can do whatever you want. That's right, pirates are the freest group of people on this ocean. Ha ha ha, you didn't see before, the guy who was talking to the straw hat boy on the street a few days ago and said something like, people's dreams will never end, was originally going to fight us, but when he saw us making a move, he was scared away. What a coward, ha ha ha. A few pirates who had just entered the Grand Line and didn't know their place were laughing wildly. Wait, look over there. Suddenly a young man looked towards the dock with a puzzled look on his face. Everyone turned around and saw a figure on the dock a few hundred meters away looking at the merchant ship they were on. The figure slowly raised his hand and made a gesture like a pistol. Gurgle, gurgle. Bellamy and his friends took 2 more sips of wine. He looked at the figure at the dock and taunted. Ha ha ha, what does that guy want to do? Is that someone from the night bar? Who cares? We've already driven this far. Even if he's from the night bar, so what? Ha ha ha, can he really hit us? As we speak, the ship has already sailed 1,000 meters out of the port. At this distance, Bellamy believed that no one could catch up with him. Su Ming looked at the merchant ship slowly going away, a smile appeared on his face. A super railroad gun. Chapter 202 Legends on the Sea. On the sea, Marshal D. Teach sat on the deck, still feeling frightened. Poison Q looked at Blackbeard with a strange expression. Captain, what happened to you just now? They were just a few small ants, why did you leave? Yeah, I can take care of those guys by myself. The burly Geese's Bahas also said. It's not too late now. Those little guys are only a few thousand meters away from us. They are still within my sniper range. At the bow, Van Oka was holding a spear, aiming in a certain direction, and spoke calmly. Blackbeard took 2 deep breaths, glanced at Van Oka, and then began to explain with lingering fear. Ha 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 ha, you think I'm afraid of those little brats? Otherwise, Blackbeard propped himself up, leaned against the railing, and looked in the direction where Van Oka's sniper rifle was aimed. Those guys have caused a huge disaster and they don't even know it. If we continue to tangle with them, we will be buried with them. Van Oka was puzzled. It's just a merchant ship of a bar. Is it necessary to be like this? Night bar, although it has branches all over the world, is just a bar. It's not as scary as you say. Blackbeard glanced at a few people. These guys had just entered the Grand Line. Although they knew about the night bar, they had no idea how terrifying this force was. I still look at this bar with the same impression I had when I was there. In fact, what people don't know is that in the 4 seas, there are basically Marines stationed on every island. If someone causes trouble, the Marine will solve it, and there is no need for Night Bar to take action. But Blackbeard knew that behind this force stood a being who could suppress the 4 emperors of the sea. Anyway, it's not someone I can afford to offend right now. Just watch, those guys are about to. Before Blackbeard could finish his words, a sharp thunder suddenly exploded on the sea. Several people looked in the direction where the sound came from. Blackbeard's face changed drastically. Thousands of meters away, a long dragon-like streak of lightning flashed across the sea. The light flashed and disappeared. Poison Q scratched his head. Strange, how can this thunder pass smoothly across the sea? Snap. Van Oka's sniper rifle fell to the deck. Huh, Oka, what's wrong? Are you drunk and can't even hold the gun steadily? Ha ha ha. Poison Q sneered. In the past, Van Oka would definitely have retorted, but this time, Q waited for a while but did not hear any rebuttal from Van Oka. Advertisement. He couldn't help but look at Van Oka strangely. But at this time, Van Oka's forehead was already covered with sweat and his face was pale. His body was shaking constantly and his lips were trembling. Several companions who were traveling with him realized something was wrong and rushed forward. What's wrong, Oka, are you sick? As a doctor, Q quickly took out the medicine box. Suddenly, Blackbeard spoke. Oka, did you just see that? After hearing this, several people realized that Blackbeard's reaction seemed wrong. What happened, Captain? What did Oka see? Van Oka swallowed and forced himself to calm down. The guys who looted the port earlier are dead. Dead. Yes, that lightning just now wiped out the merchant ship and the guys. Thinking back to what he had just seen, Van Oka's pupils trembled. On the boat, several people looked at each other, thinking about what Blackbeard had just said, and realized that something was wrong. Well, Captain, you know what's going on. Blackbeard shook his head and sneered. You guessed it right. It was the Thunder Emperor who took action himself. These guys are unlucky to have attracted such a big shot. This lightning that wipes out everything is really terrifying. If you are not immune to lightning, no one can be a match for this guy. Fortunately, I have that fruit now. The dark fruit that can invalidate all fruit abilities gave Blackbeard great confidence. Van Oka also told everyone what he had just seen through the telescope. That figure was right at the dock, 1,000 meters away. He was the one who created that lightning. And I saw it clearly. It was just a random strike. The entire merchant ship was covered by lightning and vaporized instantly. Nothing was left. It was horrible. Several crew members on the Blackbeard pirates are arrogant guys. But after listening to Van Oka's description, I couldn't help but shudder. There is such a horrible monster in the sea. The attack just now was comparable to a natural disaster, but it was just a casual blow from someone else. Blackbeard frowned when he saw that his crew seemed to have been hit. That won't work. Well, Even though that guy is very strong, sooner or later I will surpass him. The most urgent thing is to catch the Straw Hat Boy. At the entrance to the Grand Line, it's not often that you encounter pirates with hundreds of millions of dollars. Becoming Shichibukai is just part of our plan. Blackbeard's words diverted the attention of several people on the ship. Advertisement. I heard that Straw Hat Luffy is going to Sky Island. Does that legendary place really exist? Asked Giza's Bajis. Blackbeard nodded. Sky Island does exist. I heard from my dad that it seems to be 10,000 meters in the air, but I don't know the exact way to get there. Whitebeard knows. Has he been there? Blackbeard shook his head. I don't know. 10,000 meters in the air, it's really far away. Duque looked up at the sky and sighed. Van Oka suddenly asked. There is moonwalk in Marine 6 styles, which can stay in the air for a short period of time. Do you think there are any top warriors who can use moonwalk to reach Sky Island? Blackbeard couldn't help but roll his eyes when he heard this, and looked at Van Oka, suddenly admiring this guy's imagination. Impossible. I can use moonwalk to some extent. Although it can keep me in the air for a short time, it consumes too much energy. And the higher you go, the greater the pressure. No one can do 10,000 meters, not even Whitebeard. Blackbeard had just finished speaking when he turned around and was about to tell the crew to speed up and chase Luffy and his group. However, the moment he turned his head, Blackbeard's pupils suddenly shrank. He unconsciously took 2 steps back. You guys continue chatting, just pretend I don't exist. I don't know when there was an extra person on the boat. Van Oka was so frightened that he sat down on the ground. Yes, it's you. The thunder and lightning just now. Everyone reacted immediately and quickly stepped back to surround Su Ming, looking alert. Su Ming stretched and looked at Blackbeard with interest. Their strength has improved a lot. Have you identified the Whitebeard pirates? Blackbeard said nothing. The guy in front of me is not my friend. The last time I saw this guy, his teeth were knocked out and they haven't grown back yet. Giza's Bajis wasn't very smart, and he couldn't bear to see several people being scared like this by Su Ming. Giza's Bajis clenched his hands and walked towards Su Ming. Hey, what are you afraid of? This guy looks skinny and small, but I can kill him with one punch. Before he could finish his words, Su Ming slapped him in the face. The sturdy Giza's Baji instantly turned into a spinning top. Bang! With a loud bang, Giza's Bajis broke the boat pole, which was 1 meter in diameter, fell to the ground, foaming at the mouth, and fainted. Several people on the boat were sweating coldly. My goodness, even the strongest man, Giza's Bajis, couldn't even withstand a single blow from this guy. Chapter 203. Strange Ocean Currents, Future Partners. Badgers. Everyone exclaimed when they saw badgers fainting on the ground with foam at the mouth. Su Ming's movements were so fast that before the others could even react, badgers had already flown out. Blackbeard gritted his teeth, feeling the pressure increase. I don't know how many times I cursed Bellamy's little pirates in my heart. If it weren't for those ignorant guys, how could such a horrible monster come to such a remote place? Su Ming was surrounded by several members of the Blackbeard pirates, but there was no sign of panic on his face. On the contrary, the members of the Blackbeard pirates were shaking as if they were facing a formidable enemy. Hey, Teach, I heard you ate the dark fruit, that's incredible. What is the ability of dark fruit? Oh, yes, it can negate the abilities of other devil fruits. I remember that dark fruit can't be transformed into an element, but it can absorb damage. The pain of physical damage is doubled, right? Su Ming clenched his fists and a sly smile appeared on his face. What a tricky ability. Blackbeard's forehead began to bead with sweat. How dare you say that? Who was it that knocked Kaido down with physical skills? The advantages and disadvantages of dark fruit were all pointed out by the guy in front of me. Teach, who regarded dark fruit as his biggest trump card, began to feel unsure. Knowing the power of his fruit, this guy still dares to get so close to him. My fruit ability should be useful to this guy in front of me. If I could take away this guy's fruit ability. Once the thought came to Teach, he could no longer suppress it. Although I don't know what the ability of this guy's fruit is, judging from his performance, it is definitely not weaker than Whitebeard's shock fruit. There was a vicious flash in Blackbeard's eyes. Dark. The dark fruit ability had just been unleashed when Su Ming flashed to Teach's side and placed a hand on his shoulder. Then, Teach was like taking an X-ray, with the skeleton inside his body clearly visible and constantly being pulled out. Wrong. Mercy. Teach begged for mercy in a halting manner. Su Ming stroked his chin, but he had no intention of letting Teach go. Advertisement. Until the aroma of barbecue wafted over the boat. The crew of the Blackbeard pirates looked at Blackbeard, who was about to be cooked medium rare, and wanted to step forward but did not dare to. Su Ming didn't let go of Teach's hand until he started foaming at the mouth. The lightning dissipated, and Blackbeard's entire body was charred, with smoke coming out of his body. Su Ming shook his head. It seems that Blackbeard's dark fruit has no restraining effect on his strengthened Thunder God fruit. Come to think of it, my fruit has overcome the weaknesses of seawater and seastone, so it is reasonable that dark fruit has no effect. If that brat Ace hadn't stopped me from doing it and insisted on dealing with this guy myself, I could have cooked him well right now. I don't believe that dark fruit, who has been cooked, can be restored. Suddenly, Su Ming raised his eyebrows. He keenly felt that the sea level where he was beginning to rise. Not far ahead of the Blackbeard pirate's ship, the Mary, which Luffy and his crew were riding on, also came into view. "Hey! The guy in front, move aside, we are going to Sky Island." Luffy shouted towards the Blackbeard pirate's ship from the bow. The crew of the Blackbeard pirate's ship had no intention of paying attention to Luffy at the moment, even though their original purpose was to capture Luffy. But right now, they have no such thoughts at all. "Let's put the pirates aside for now, our boss is about to die. If Special Meow doesn't provide treatment, the Blackbeard pirates can be disbanded." But no matter how anxious they were, Blackbeard was being stepped on by the man in front of them, but no one dared to step forward to rescue him. At this time, the sea level under the ship began to rise continuously. Su Ming smiled. The weird ocean current on Sky Island finally started. As the sea level continued to rise, Su Ming frowned. Luffy's ship was in the center of the monster current, and was constantly rising due to the impact of the current. But the pirates of the Blackbeard pirates were not so lucky. The boat was on the edge of an upwelling current. A huge column of water shot up into the sky. Woohoo! Advertisement Luffy's shout echoed in the air. However, at the same time, Teach's pirate's ship was smashed by the current. After a while, the monster waterflow disappeared, and some broken wooden boards were floating alone on the sea. Su Ming stood on a broken deck and couldn't help but sigh. This brat is really lucky. Su Ming finally understood that the reason why the chance of survival in this strange waterflow was slim was mainly because only a small area in the center was safe and could lead to Sky Island. The chances of staying in this position are not much higher than winning the lottery. The Blackbeard Pirates members scrambled to fish Teach out of the sea. The cold sea water sobered Teach up. Looking at Su Ming not far away, Teach was still frightened. Damn, this monster is not affected by the dark fruit. Teach's fear of Su Ming reached an extreme level. Teach looked up and looked at the hole in the sky washed out by the ocean current, and couldn't help but sigh. "It turns out that you can go to Sky Island this way." Su Ming suddenly nodded and said, "Yes, this method is really exciting, but this current only comes once, and it is unlikely to ride the current again." After saying that, Su Ming stretched and tightened his clothes, as if he was warming up. Teach looked at Su Ming, seemed to have thought of something, widened his eyes, swallowed, and asked in disbelief. Lady, you don't want to walk up on the moonwalk, do you?" When the other crew members of the Blackbeard Pirates heard this, their eyes widened in disbelief. At an altitude of 10,000 meters, without any rest, is it really possible to reach that height relying solely on moonwalk? And it has to be fast. Arrive before the clouds close in the sky. Otherwise, if the user of the fruit ability falls into the sea of clouds, he will die. But Su Ming didn't have this worry. Although he is a fruit ability user, he is not affected by seawater and sea stone. Turning his head and looking at Blackbeard again, Su Ming smiled meaningfully. I casually handed him a business card. "You are very ambitious. But you are not yet qualified to cooperate with the night bar. When you feel that your status and position are high enough, you can contact me and I will test you. As for how to test him, you can refer to Kaido, he is more familiar with this." Chapter 204 Sky Island. Throwing the business card in his hand to Blackbeard, Su Ming looked up at the hole in the sky formed by the strange ocean current. "I've never tried this height before. I haven't used the 6 styles for a while. I don't know if my moonwalk has become rusty." Su Ming said calmly. Although Su Ming's voice was not loud, the crew members of the Blackbeard Pirates still heard what Su Ming said. The Poison Q group was stunned for 2 seconds before they reacted and looked at Su Ming in disbelief with wide eyes. You're not going to rely on the 6 styles to rush to Sky Island. That's 10,000 meters in the air, it's impossible to do that. Yes, there is a sea of clouds above, which has the same effect on fruit ability users as seawater. Blackbeard was so excited that he blurted out the information he knew. After he finished speaking, he realized that he had said too much and quickly covered his mouth. Strictly speaking, the guy in front of him is his enemy. If he really dies here, it doesn't seem to do any harm to him. Blackbeard couldn't help but feel annoyed. Su Ming looked at Blackbeard, raised his eyebrows slightly, and didn't care. "It doesn't matter, as long as we get up before the sky closes up." Blackbeard still covered his mouth and said nothing. Su Ming glanced at the few people floating on the boat relying on the deck debris and didn't waste any more time. 6 styles. Shave. Su Ming put more force on his feet. Then, the whole person disappeared in front of the Blackbeard Pirates in an instant. Q and several other crew members looked up at the sky, only to see a figure in the sky rushing towards the sky against the trend. In the blink of an eye, 1,000 meters have been crossed. But at the same time, the sky that was opened up by the strange ocean current was also closing rapidly. "What a scary guy." Blackbeard climbed onto the deck and said with lingering fear. "Captain, didn't you say that no one can reach Sky Island by their own physical strength?" Van Oka asked. Blackbeard. Van Oka's words made Blackbeard choke a little. Damn, how did Lousy know this guy is so scary? Even the 4 emperors on the sea could not reach Sky Island by physical skills alone. Advertisement. Well, you can't be too absolute. If it's Kaido, there's still a possibility. I heard that in the early years, New World's 4 emperors Kaido always liked to commit suicide by jumping from a height of 10,000 meters. Although for some unknown reason, I stopped doing this after I went to the Marine base. But the ability should still be there. But Kaido's approach is fundamentally different from the man in front of him. Su Ming relies entirely on his own physical strength, while Kaido relies on the fruit. These are 2 different concepts. No wonder this guy was able to defeat the 4 emperors. Facing such a monster, even if I complete all my plans, can I really be his opponent? Even a monster like Kaido was beaten by this guy and dared not retaliate. Blackbeard had a moment of self-doubt. Suddenly, Blackbeard thought of something and took out the business card from his pocket again with trembling hands. Your sister. Blackbeard suddenly remembered what the test Su Ming mentioned before he left. There are rumors in the New World that 4 emperors Kaido was able to cooperate with the Night Bar because he withstood the repeated attacks from the Revolutionary Army, the Marine, and the world government. If I also want to cooperate with Night Bar, do I have to go through all these things? Thinking of this, Blackbeard felt a little unconfident. The cards in my hand started to get hot. This isn't a business card at all, it's clearly a death warrant. Kaido is a tanky monster who can take a lot of beatings, but he was beaten up for half a year in that battle and couldn't get out of the field. Even though you have the dark fruit to absorb damage, don't forget that while absorbing the damage you will also suffer double the pain. If you encounter someone who is good at physical skills, the pain may be even greater. There are top-notch warriors like Garp who specialize in physical skills in Marine. If I were really hit by a few punches from this old monster, my gallbladder would be blown to pieces. Thinking of the tragic scene, Blackbeard was so scared that he took 2 steps back and threw the business card in his hand far away. Captain, what are you doing? Van Oka and others didn't quite understand Blackbeard's actions. Wasn't this an opportunity given by the big shot to his captain? Why did he just throw it away? Little did they know that although this was an opportunity, it was also a time bomb. Advertisement, however, after calming down, Blackbeard finally picked up the business card. After wiping the sea water off the business card, Blackbeard put it back into his arms. No matter what, this is also the business card of a top figure in the ocean. Keep it, maybe it will be useful someday. After a while, Blackbeard shook his head, clearing away all the distracting thoughts in his mind. Seeing that his crew members were all a little listless, Blackbeard sneered. Okay, cheer up, it's just a broken boat, what's there to be sad about? You know, who we just faced, he is the strongest man in the sea, the man on the shoulders of the pyramid, no one else. Being able to survive from his hands, can't it prove ourselves? Blackbeard seems to have a unique temperament, and those who follow him will be convinced by him unconsciously. After his encouragement, the few people who had been a little discouraged just now cheered up again. Yes, we survived the hands of the Thunder Emperor. Yes, we should be happy that we survived such a terrifying existence. Several crew members said excitedly. Blackbeard quietly walked aside and sighed without anyone noticing. I am really good at flattering myself. Fortunately, Thunder Emperor couldn't possibly know about such a small thing, otherwise I might have to order the medium rare set meal again. Survive from the Thunder Emperor. Stop joking. Not to mention how much effort the other person used just now. Judging from the power he has displayed, it would only take a few minutes for him to destroy his entire group of pirates. Strength. I need more strength. Just one dark fruit is not enough to make me a top warrior. Just wait. Sooner or later, I will become the strongest person in this ocean and catch up with you. Maybe by then, even your fruit ability will fall into my hands. At the same time, 10,000 meters above the sea of clouds, a figure penetrated the surface of the sea and stopped in midair. It was Su Ming. Is this Sky Island? Su Ming looked around and saw a vast expanse of white all around, as if heavy snow had fallen for several days in a row, covering everything. According to his memories from his previous life, Su Ming knew that this was not the place where the residents of Sky Island lived. 3,000 meters above here was the real Sky Island. After a short pause, Su Ming did not wait, but flew upwards again and disappeared. A few minutes later, over Sky Island, Su Ming finally saw the full view of Sky Island. Chapter 205 Qingdao's Cutting-Edge Technology, number 998. The scenery of Sky Island is very beautiful. It is not inferior even to Marijoy, the holy land of celestial dragons. Even better, because it is above the clouds, there is no cloudy sky here. The sunlight shines on the flowing sea of clouds, making this place look like a pasture with no end in sight. It's really a fairy tale world. Su Ming couldn't help but sigh in his heart. Suddenly, Su Ming felt a cloud approaching him from behind. The cloud was not moving very fast, and Su Ming dodged it easily by turning sideways. Turning around, I saw a road from Yunduo Pucheng. And on top of it stood a woman holding a rifle. Who are you? Why are you near the Holy Land? And why can you stand in the air? Before Su Ming could say anything, the other party asked him 2 questions. Looking at the woman in front of him who looked 2 or 3 points like Gion, Su Ming smiled, shrugged, and raised his hands above his head. He made the signature move of a flashman who had eaten the obscene fruit. It's really scary to dig inside. It's very rude to point a gun at someone. On the opposite side, the woman gritted her teeth and stared at Su Ming closely, not daring to look away for even a moment. The guy in front of him gave him a very weird and dangerous feeling. Suddenly, the woman noticed something. Wait, you don't have wings, you're from Shanghai. The woman finally noticed the point. Su Ming smiled and stopped teasing the woman in front of him. If the Qinghai you are talking about is under the sea of clouds, then that is indeed where I come from. Su Ming looked at the cloud beneath the woman's feet. This thing is interesting. Although it is mist, once it unfolds, it can be as hard as bricks and stones and carry people on it. But what is stored is just a palm-sized Sky Island shell. New technology I've never seen before. What does new technology represent? Business opportunities, huge business opportunities. As a qualified capitalist, you must dare to be the first to try something new, only then can you make a fortune. As long as the information gap is large enough, it is not uncommon to exchange glass for gold. But the woman opposite was startled when she saw Su Ming approaching. It's really weird that this guy can stand in the air without relying on the cloud road. Su Ming didn't know what the other person was thinking. If he knew, he would definitely complain. Does it feel weird to be standing in the air by yourself? Isn't it even more strange that you have wings but need to pave the road to fly around in the sky? Advertisement. Although the woman didn't dare to look away for a moment, Su Ming's speed was simply beyond her ability to catch up. In just a moment, Su Ming disappeared from her sight, and when she reacted, Su Ming was already standing beside her. And she didn't know when. Vice Admiral Yun Lubei had taken it away from her. Give it back to me. The woman reacted and yelled at Su Ming angrily, swinging the rifle in her hand at Su Ming like a stick. Su Ming dodged the opponent's attack by slightly turning sideways. Then he took advantage of the situation and grabbed the woman's wrist, holding the joint. The woman groaned in pain. Su Ming looked at the Yunlu in his hand and said casually. Don't be nervous, I don't mean any harm. Click. Su Ming pressed the button on the shell. The next second, a cloud road appeared that was just big enough for one person to walk on. Su Ming tried stepping on it twice. Yes, strong enough. I say, can you give this thing to me? Su Ming looked at the woman. The woman was captured by Su Ming, and she was already feeling aggrieved. Now when she heard that Su Ming had the nerve to ask her for things, she became even more furious. You're dreaming. You are my enemy. Why should I give you my things? Su Ming touched his chin and thought about it. I am a celestial dragon. Is this enough? Hearing Su Ming's words, the woman looked at Su Ming. Su Ming was surprised that the other party knew his identity. Then I heard the woman say, Celestial dragons, humph, it seems that you are not a priest of the Holy Land, but come from another island? For now, I will consider you not my enemy, but you can only dream of getting my things. Su Ming. Damn it, it seems that my identity as a celestial dragon is not very useful in this remote place. Su Ming shook his head and let go of his hand. As soon as she escaped, the woman immediately distanced herself from Su Ming, pulled out her rifle again, and pointed the gun directly at Su Ming. Don't move. I won't be responsible for any consequences if you move. Su Ming shook his head. What a fierce personality. Su Ming didn't listen to her and walked towards the woman slowly. Damn it. Stop. If you don't stop, I'm really going to hit you. The woman gritted her teeth and kept backing away. Su Ming had a faint smile on his face. Bang, advertisement. A gunshot. The woman trembled and then looked across with a little fear. The martial arts in the world are invincible, for your pleasure. Su Ming got stuck halfway through his words, but I only saw Su Ming put one hand in front of him and made a, yeah, gesture with two fingers. And between his eyebrows, a bullet was embedded in his forehead. Su Ming. Damn it, I failed to pretend to be smart. The guns on Sky Island are not powered by gunpowder, but by some special shellfish, which have a different impact force. In addition, he was in such a playful mood that he didn't even use his observation hockey and failed to catch the bullet, which led to this embarrassing situation. Are you okay? The woman in front of me was a little scared. After all, this is not a real enemy. If he died in my hands, I would definitely feel uneasy. Su Ming's brow was lightly touched, and the bullet fell off. And there was not even a mark left where the bullet hit. Monster. This is a powerful firearm secretly made by the Shandians. It could even penetrate a tree with a diameter of 2 meters, and it hit the man in front of it between the eyebrows, but it didn't even leave a mark. Su Ming seemed to see the other party's horror, his eyes turned, and he smelled a business opportunity. The Shandian people, also descendants of the Golden Country, should also have some savings. How about making some money from him? Adhering to the principle that no matter how small a fly is, it is still meat, Su Ming decided to start his first business on Sky Island. After all, I came to Sky Island to make money, so it would be nice to warm up first. Su Ming threw the bullet in his hand aside and then sighed. Hey, you can call this a gun? It's not that powerful. Well, let me show you our Marines. You may not understand what I mean by this, but it is Qinghai's cutting-edge firearms technology. The woman in front of him didn't understand what was going on yet, and saw Su Ming reaching into his windbreaker. The next second, he pulled out a Gatling gun with increased firepower. Look at me. Super high firepower, 50 rounds per second. The barrel is made of high-temperature resistant material, and can fire continuously for 2 minutes. Weapon of war, you deserve it. I'm not bragging. With this gun, even killing gods is no problem. When doing business, of course you have to brag to your heart's content. Although this Gatling gun with blue flames is very powerful, it is still a bit difficult to kill Logia with one shot, unless it is equipped with seastone bullets. Seastone bullets are quite expensive, and only someone as wealthy as Su Ming can afford them. Most people may not be able to afford to use a Gatling gun with seastone bullets. Su Ming just used common commercial promotion methods. But the Sky Island woman in front of me is a straightforward girl. The words, killing gods is no problem, must have touched her heart immediately. I want this thing. How much is it? Chapter 206. New World's Kami. The woman looked impatient. Su Ming had a triumphant smile in his eyes. But his face remained expressionless. Hey, don't worry, this is just a small thing. I have something more powerful. If we're talking about war, how can we use only guns and no cannons? Su Ming swung his windbreaker and an old-fashioned mortar appeared in front of him. Italian cannon, a must-have weapon for the 2nd Battalion commander, you deserve it. Tell you a secret, this thing has a synergistic effect if you drink sweet potato soup and then use it. Su Ming revealed all the old-fashioned firearm stocks that were piled up in the system space. Although these are the equipment used by the Marines several years ago, they are still rare in Sky Island. The woman in front of him looked at the weapons scattered all over the ground with shining eyes. Great, with these, we will definitely be able to defeat that Enel guy and take back our homeland. Su Ming stood aside, listening to the woman's words without breaking her fantasy. After all, no one selling pants says that a person's legs are short. If you want to defeat the Logia Thunder Fruit user with this obsolete old-fashioned weapon, you have to have a good posture even in your dreams, otherwise it is impossible to dream about it. The woman took a deep breath, stood up and looked at Su Ming. He walked up to Su Ming and bowed deeply. Su Ming saw only white. Yes, very polite. As an old noble, celestial dragons, out of aristocratic etiquette, Su Ming naturally took a few more glances. This Gatling gun is really white. Ahem, after the comment, Su Ming coughed lightly, and while the other party wasn't noticing, he resumed his gentlemanly demeanor. Even if you do that, you can't get a discount. The woman was stunned, obviously not understanding what Su Ming meant. But I didn't think much about it. Thank you, sir. Your weapons are of great help to us. You are our Shandian people's eternal friend. We want these things, but please wait a moment, I have to call the leader over. Su Ming nodded after hearing this. Okay, then hurry up, these are all good stuff. The woman nodded. By the way, my name is Lackey. Su Ming looked at the woman's back as she ran away and shook his head. He took out a beach chair, put it on the ground, and basked in the sun comfortably. It's true, basking in the sun on Sky Island is a unique experience. Su Ming crossed his legs, and not long after, he felt several groups of clouds coming towards him from a distance. That's it. Advertisement Lackey's voice came again. Su Ming opened his eyes and saw several burly men in front of him. The man in the lead had a tattoo on his face. The first person Su Ming thought of was his good brother, Dorag. Is your dad's name also Garp? Su Ming asked subconsciously. The man in front of him was stunned and did not answer Su Ming's words. People in Qingdao are really strange. What kind of special greeting is this? Su Ming smiled awkwardly, realizing that he had said something rude and blurted out what was in his heart. Well, kind of, but it's not applicable to a very small range of people. I only greet my very good friends in this way. Su Ming swore that he absolutely did not lie. The scope is relatively small, so one person should be counted. I just hope that the man in front of me doesn't remember these words, let alone go on the grand voyage. Well, let me introduce you. This is the current leader of our Shandia people, War Ghost, Wappa. He is the one who is leading us against God Enel. Su Ming nodded. Yeah, nice to meet you. Su Ming was a little perfunctory. Who the other person is has nothing to do with you. As long as you pay, you will be my Su Ming's limited time recharge friend. If you spend enough money, I can use a Gatling gun to help you shoot down Enel. Just as Su Ming was complaining in his heart, the War Ghost Wappa said, we want all your weapons. But we don't have the money in Qingdao. I heard that gold is also a tradable currency in Qingdao. Can we exchange it with gold? Su Ming's eyes lit up. No problem. I'll take a small loss. 1 pound of gold and 1 gun. How about that? Pava stroked his chin. A pound of gold? Su Ming felt a little guilty. This old broken gun could not even be exchanged for a pound of gold or 2 cafeteria meal tickets in the Marine Corps. The only thing that is really valuable is the Gatling gun. Just when Su Ming was considering whether he should lower the price. Okay, deal. We've done business with a lot of people over the years, and the price you offer is the most fair. Su Ming. Peefed. Su Ming almost vomited blood. Damn it, what on earth did the people who came here before do? That's all lousy's gold. It seems that we must take control of Sky Island as soon as possible. You are losing money every second. Advertisement after doing business for so long. This was the first time Su Ming felt like he was losing money. Okay, I'll give you the gold and the gun will be yours. Su Ming waved his hands, unwilling to see these guns again and remind himself of his losing money. The transaction went smoothly, and the people of Wappa couldn't put down their new guns. Especially the War Ghost Wappa, who was originally a technological warrior. Its own strength is not that great, and it mainly relies on the rocket launcher behind it. Now with the addition of a Gatling gun, it's like adding wings to a tiger. With this thing, I will definitely be able to defeat Enel. Wappa is full of confidence. Su Ming felt a little sorry when he saw a group of people giving away their heads with high morale. Oh, forget it. I'm really not suitable to be a businessman. I'm too soft-hearted. Su Ming waved towards Lackey. Well, Lackey, come here for a moment. The woman Lackey walked up to Su Ming in confusion. Is there anything else, sir? Su Ming sighed. You guys bought a lot of stuff from me, although I didn't make any money because I sold it at the lowest price. I'm a good friend, so I'll give this to you. Su Ming took out a bullet. A bullet? You profiteer? Lackey looked at Su Ming and his eyes twitched. That's not necessary. We can still afford 1 bullet. Su Ming touched his nose and felt a little embarrassed. He didn't give a low-quality seastone bullet as a gift because he was stingy. This thing is mainly for commemoration, not for value. Well, that's it. Su Ming comforted himself. This is not a bullet. Even though it looks like a bullet and can be loaded and fired, it is actually a talisman. It's very effective. When you are truly desperate, load it and it will bring you good luck. Su Ming argued. Lackey looked at Su Ming suspiciously, looking him up and down. I always feel that this guy in front of me is lying. But in the end she still took the bullet from Su Ming. Okay, I'll just trust you for now. If this operation is successful, we'll see each other again and I'll buy you a drink. Lackey set a flag. Su Ming smiled and nodded. Okay, I'll recommend a bar to you later. By the way, aren't you from Qingdao? I haven't asked you what you are doing here yet. Su Ming heard Lackey's question and took out a cigarette from his arms. I want to be the Kami of New World, Chapter 207 Plan. The transaction ended happily. Su Ming looked at the backs of the Shandia people as they left, and then looked at the gold left behind, and his heart was filled with warmth. The Shandia people who were driven out from the Golden Country all had so much gold. The gold reserves in the Golden Country might be even greater than you thought. It seems that we have come to the right place this time. Su Ming looked up at the clouds in the sky that were pierced by a thick vine, with a smile in his eyes. Hey, Nami, look at this thing, it can move without wind. In the distance, a familiar voice brought Su Ming back to his senses. Su Ming didn't need to look to know that the voice was obviously Luffy. Only this kid likes to yell like this. However, Su Ming had no plans to meet this guy. I came to Sky Island for something important to do. Looking in the direction of Luffy, I saw Nami on the sea, trying to operate Sky Island's unique means of transportation, the Viper. This is a special means of transportation on Sky Island that can sail on the Sea of Clouds with the help of wind shells. The world of Pirates King has so many secrets. With Su Ming's keen eyes, he could tell at a glance that these various types of sky shells that only existed on Sky Island were not the result of natural evolution. Instead, it is a kind of biotechnology. Storing clouds and mist could barely be considered a biological characteristic. Storing wind power, temperature, and impact force completely goes against biological common sense. This function, which is of no use to natural evolution, would never have evolved at any time. What's more, these shells are semi-permanent, which is outrageous. Combined with the image features on Sky Island, it is obvious that this is a technology unique to the ancestors of the Sky Island people. It's just that these technologies were lost in the long river of history. Maybe Sky Island's history also falls into that blank 100 years. Su Ming speculated secretly in his heart. However, Su Ming was just thinking about it casually. He was not interested in the lost technology tree of Sky Island. Turning around and looking at the so-called Holy Land of Sky Island, that is where the Golden Country is. Su Ming rubbed his chin. If we want to exchange this gold for Bailey, we can only transport it back to Qinghai. I definitely can't do it alone. Taking the Grand Line is too expensive. It seems we need to rely on the help of some local people. There are quite a few residents on Sky Island. If they can all be mobilized, they will be a force that cannot be ignored. As for how to mobilize these people, Su Ming immediately came up with an idea. The situation on Sky Island is still under theocracy. The essence of theocracy is that whoever has the greatest power is God. Advertisement. This is really not very friendly to Su Ming. In Su Ming's eyes, Enel's development of Thunderfruit is just a mediocre effort. It was easy to defeat him. The only problem now is finding Enel. Su Ming dodged and landed on the Holy Land. The observation hockey unfolded, and the entire picture of Sky Island appeared in my mind. Enel's heart network can cover the entire Sky Island effortlessly. Su Ming is naturally more relaxed. Su Ming detected the location of the shrine where Enel was located in an instant. Inside the shrine, Enel was lying comfortably on a chair, eating an apple with a playful smile on his face. There is a feeling of having an overall view and everything under control. And the direction Enel was looking in was exactly the direction Su Ming was in. Obviously he already knew about Su Ming's arrival. Su Ming raised his eyebrows and smiled. Not bad, the reaction is quite quick. As he was speaking, he saw people rushing towards him from the four directions of east, south, west and north according to his perception. In the blink of an eye, it was already in front of him. A Qinghai man. Is this the new intruder that God said? A man riding a strange bird and holding a Western knight's sword looked at Su Ming puzzledly. It should be him. There are quite a few people from Qinghai coming to Sky Island recently. Now that we are here, let's prepare to accept God's trial. The other man riding on the big dog said calmly. This is my territory. In that case, accept the trial of the ball. HMPH, I saw him first, so he should have taken the trial of Thread first. The four of them started arguing right in front of Su Ming, as if Su Ming didn't exist. Su Ming hugged his shoulders and looked at the four so-called priests, without intending to interrupt their conversation. These four guys are pretty strong in Sky Island, but if they were placed in Grand Line, I'm afraid they wouldn't even make 30 million. The strength of these people mainly depends on Sky Island's unique technology. Finally, the quarrel ended in front of Su Ming. Hey, outsider, you are very lucky to meet four of us priests at the same time. We have agreed that you can accept the trials of our four priests at the same time. Feel honored. The man riding the strange bird showed excitement in his eyes. The so-called trials are nothing more than different kinds of pursuit and torture. However, just as they were about to take action, Su Ming spoke calmly. Advertisement. Wait, I am your god's guest, are you sure you want to attack me? What a sightless thing. Su Ming changed his previous nonchalant attitude, took the initiative and directly scolded several priests. His self-righteous look stunned the priests who were about to take action. You are God's guest. Su Ming nodded and pretended to be profound. That's right, your God is just a false god. I am the most noble god, much more noble than him. You are a bunch of ants. You failed to guide me, yet you dared to attack me. You really don't know how to write the word death. You are not priests, but blasphemers. Just kidding. Su Ming has been carrying the name of celestial dragons for so many years, he is more celestial dragons than celestial dragons. This rich and remote area, when it comes to showing off, is no match for the ignorant Enel. At this moment, Su Ming's momentum is much stronger than Enel's. Just hearing the 3 words, blasphemer, made several priests stunned. I don't know what it means, but it feels pretty cool. The 4 priests in front of them were all stunned. Thinking back to when several people left, it seemed that God did not say that he would give me a test. Could this really be a god from somewhere else? No, you're talking nonsense. A priest reacted and pointed his weapon at Su Ming. Damn it, there is only one god, how could there be a second one? Are they mass-produced in a factory? However, Su Ming had already anticipated the other party's actions. Boom. Lightning gathered in the sky. As soon as the priest finished speaking, a thick beam of lightning enveloped the priest. The aroma of burnt meat wafted in the air. The other 3 priests standing by were stunned. Oh shit, is this divine punishment? Is what this guy said true? Could this person before me really be a god from somewhere else? Su Ming looked at the priest shrouded in lightning, a smile flashing across his lips. If one wants to promote theocracy, defeating Enel alone is certainly not enough, one must also have a suitable identity. It would certainly be difficult for people to accept that an ordinary person who suddenly appeared became a god. But if a god from somewhere else becomes a local god, it would be much easier to accept. As the spokespersons of God, the priests in front of them all think they are God. Then the rest of the people will naturally acknowledge this matter. Chapter 208, Usurping the Divine Power. The lightning faded, and the priest riding the strange bird, along with the strange bird under his crotch, fell to the ground covered in black and smoking. The expressions on the faces of the 3 priests nearby changed again and again. The atmosphere suddenly became unusually quiet. After a long while, one of the priests finally reacted. God, I'm sorry, we didn't know you were coming. With the first one, there will naturally be a second one. Soon all 3 priests knelt in front of Su Ming, with the most respectful expressions on their faces. The guy in front of me may not be a god, but no one wants to be struck by lightning again. Su Ming was very satisfied with the reactions of several people. Yes, that's right. In view of your sincere repentance, I will not pursue your previous blasphemy. Well, the 3 of you will escort me to meet the lower gods here. The remaining 3 priests were suddenly in trouble. What? You want to disobey God's will? Thunder exploded in the sky again, and it seemed like it would fall at any moment. Sensing the danger, the 3 priests quickly spoke. No, it's not. It's just that if you want to see the gods, you need to take the Shrimp Express. Now the Shrimp Express has been sent out. If you want to reach the God Island, you have to go through the downtown area. I'm afraid this is not suitable for your status. Su Ming waved his hand. It's okay, just walk through the downtown area, I just want to take a look at the scenery of your island. Are you kidding? I just want these guys to promote myself. What's the point of finding Enel and defeating him quietly? The residents of Sky Island must be made aware that a new god has arrived. Several priests still did not move. Boom. Several bolts of lightning struck the 3 people, creating several meter-deep pits in the ground. Looking at the terrifying thunder and lightning, the 3 priests swallowed secretly. Normally, it feels great to watch lightning strike others, but now that I have become a target, I realize that this thing is really extremely dangerous. And looking at the power of the thunder and lightning, it feels like God is angrier than usual, and the power is more than twice as great. Looking at the man in front of him again, could this guy really be a distinguished guest of God, another god? The mentality of the 3 people began to change quietly. In fact, Enel in the temple at this moment was just as the 3 people thought, very angry. I was so angry that I didn't even eat the apple. Idiot. They actually believed such a crude lie. This guy is lying to you, can't you see? Enel felt it from the moment he defeated the first priest. This guy from Shanghai actually used his own name to swindle people. The key is that those idiots actually believed it. Damn it, I don't know what method this guy used to be able to control lightning. As he thought about it, Enel suddenly laughed again. Haha, no matter what means you have, you are trying to instigate theocracy. You are making a mistake. The lightning just now was not the full power of this god. Since you want to die and come to me, then it will be as you wish. Advertisement. When I kill you, people will know who the true god is. Enel is confident in its capabilities. Because of the influence of distance, the power of lightning at a long distance is not even 1/10 of the power of lightning used in person. Even if this guy has some means of controlling lightning, he will definitely not be my opponent when he stands in front of me. What's more, he also has God's exclusive ability, the Heart Network. Enel believes that he is the only true god. HMPH, let's see what tricks you can come up with. Enel picked up an apple from the fruit plate and bit into it viciously. It seemed that what he was biting was not an apple but bloody raw meat. Sky Island, the busiest street. Su Ming was like the moon surrounded by stars, surrounded by 3 priests, and his status was very high. When the residents of Sky Island on both sides of the street saw this scene, they felt scared but also a little curious. Are these three priests? Who is the one in the middle? He has no wings, so he must be from Shanghai, right? Could it be a criminal who sneaked in? That's really unlucky to be encountered by several priests right at the beginning. Shish. Keep your voice down. You're risking your life. A middle-aged man pointed to the sky. The people around him finally reacted and quickly covered their mouths. Su Ming took in everyone's reactions. Looking at everyone's frightened expressions, Su Ming was very satisfied. It seems that the residents of Sky Island are so deeply afraid of Enel that they dare not even discuss it. This is good news for me. If Enel wins the hearts of the people, it will be in a lot of trouble. And now, Su Ming, who was surrounded by three priests, suddenly stopped. Sir. The three priests were stunned and looked at Su Ming with confusion. Su Ming just looked around. His eyes scanned every resident on the street. All the people who made eye contact with Su Ming lowered their heads unconsciously. From Su Ming's performance, everyone finally realized that this handsome man surrounded by three priests was not a criminal who had sneaked in. On the contrary, this man was of noble status, and even the priests had to address him as, Sir. Enel saw Su Ming's actions through the heart network. What is this guy trying to do? No matter what you are going to do, when we meet, you will be dead. Su Ming climbed up the platform step by step, and everyone's eyes unconsciously focused on Su Ming. Everyone looked up at Su Ming. Su Ming's aura slowly dissipated, and at this moment his figure became taller in the eyes of everyone. I know that you have doubts in your hearts, who am I and why am I here? I'll tell you now, I am the only true God, and I came here to save you. The days of false gods oppressing and ruling you are over. This God will lead you into a new era, and this place will become your Garden of Eden. Here, you will no longer be restricted and can speak and act freely. Advertisement. God will forgive all your sins. After Su Ming finished speaking, everyone on the street stared at him with wide eyes. It's over. Something terrible has happened. This man is crazy. He actually dares to call himself a god. Heavenly punishment is definitely coming. The three priests standing by looked at Su Ming with horror on their faces. It's over. I was really taken advantage of by this guy. This guy wants to usurp theocracy. During this speech, he invisibly pulled several of his people into his team. A thought flashed through the minds of the three people at the same time. No, we must immediately draw a line between ourselves and this guy, or God will punish us. However, before anyone could react, the furious Enel in the shrine had already taken action. In the sky, terrifying thunder began to gather. Compared with previous times, this divine punishment was particularly terrifying, and it seemed to be destroying the entire town. Run. God is angry. Some civilians reacted and tried to escape from this unexpected disaster. The streets suddenly became extremely chaotic. Su Ming was still standing on a high place, with no intention of taking action against Lei Ting. The emotions were almost stretched to the limit, and people's fear of Enel was also elicited. Next, it's time for you to perform miracles. Su Ming's eyes slowly turned blood red, and three magatama appeared in his pupils. As they spun rapidly, the magatama changed again. At the same time, a skeleton emerged from the void. Next came flesh and blood, and armor. In the blink of an eye, a thunder giant that was 100 meters tall appeared on the street. Su Ming's voice came again. Don't panic, don't be afraid. Those who usurp the authority of the gods here will be punished. For all those who believe in me, recite the name of God silently, and I will protect you. Heaven and earth divide disaster. Lightning struck from the sky, and the long sword at the giant's waist suddenly came out. Boom. The loud noise was accompanied by a violent burst of white light. After a few breaths, the light dissipated. On the street, everyone looked up and saw the burly giant standing there, unharmed. The terrifying thunder and lightning in the sky had been completely destroyed. The sunlight also became particularly dazzling at this moment. At this moment, Su Ming's figure shone brightly in the hearts of these people. Even the three priests were shocked when they saw Su Ming's Susanoo. He murmured, God really appeared. Large groups of people knelt on the ground. Knock to the true God. God, please save us from this sea of suffering. Chapter 209. Meng's powerful prescription, the right medicine for the disease. On the rooftop in the distance, Gonfor looked at the people kneeling on the ground and worshipping Su Ming with complicated eyes. Another monster. As the former ruler of Sky Island, Gonfowl knew very well that the so-called gods were nothing but tricks to fool people. It's just a name made up by a powerful guy in order to instill fear in the people below him. But often, the more powerful a person is, the less he cares about the lives of those at the bottom. Judging from his performance, this guy who suddenly appeared seems to be even more powerful than Enel. Once Enel is defeated, it is hard to say whether the people of Sky Island will have a new life or fall into the hands of another ambitious person. More importantly, Gonfor could see that this new man who called himself God knew how to control the people's hearts better than Enel. What a horrible fellow. He becomes less and less useful as he gets older. Gonfor felt a sense of powerlessness in his heart. Enel's rule is already a headache, and now there's another one like this. Sky Island is really full of disasters. At the same time, Enel, who was in the temple, had sat up, with lightning flashing in his eyes. Haha, it seems that I really underestimated the invaders this time. Under the observation of the mind network, the terrifying giant suddenly summoned by the other party made him feel a little threatened. But it was just a threat. False god. Haha. God cannot be defeated. Although Enel knew that the person who wanted to seize power this time was very powerful, he was not too panicked. As long as you don't want to, no one can hit you. But this strength can be used as a priest. Those guys are too weak now. Enel raised his head and looked towards the sky with a bit of longing in his eyes. God should be high above the 9 heavens and boundless on the earth. Haha, usurper, just treat it as a little game to liven up the fun before leaving. ... On the street, Susanoo gradually disappeared, and Su Ming walked down from the height. Everyone on the street was kneeling on the ground. Looking at this situation, Su Ming felt like he was really a god. If there is any difference, it may be that I am not wrapped in a white sheet and there is no halo behind my head. The play was almost over and he wasn't going to waste any more time. Su Ming helped an aboriginal in front of him up and said seriously, I will take you back to your rightful freedom. People on the street cheered. With Su Ming's protection, they no longer have to worry about divine punishment and can finally live without such depression. The 3 priests of Enel had already fled when Su Ming performed the miracle just now. Compared to Su Ming, several people still trust Enel more. After all, they had tried, and no matter how hard they attacked, they could not hurt Enel at all. This is the difference between gods and mortals. Advertisement. Su Ming naturally wouldn't care about this. My goal has been achieved. People on the street followed Su Ming and cheered continuously. Some people on the street who were not aware of the situation saw this and asked questions curiously. After learning the whole story, they joined the team one after another. By the time Su Ming arrived at the Island of Gods, a team of tens of thousands of people had gathered behind him. Looking at the crowd of people behind him, Su Ming suddenly felt a little self-doubt. Did I choose the wrong career? Compared to being a marine, I feel like I'm more suited to being in a cult. If that guy dragon had my speed of pulling people, Pirates King would be finished in 30 episodes. Su Ming shook his head to clear away the strange thoughts. Faith is unreliable, Bailey is more realistic. I would be happier being a down-to-earth businessman. Tens of thousands of people stood on the edge of the Island of Gods. The previous excitement on his face began to slowly disappear, replaced by a hint of nervousness and fear. God, the one ahead is. The civilian who was first helped up by Su Ming wanted to remind him in a low voice. Su Ming waved his hand, signaling the other party not to continue. I will go alone, you wait here. Su Ming finished speaking and strode into the Island of Gods. Everyone was left staring at Su Ming's receding back, clasping their hands and praying. Until Su Ming's figure completely disappeared in the dense forest. Temple. Bang. The several-meter-high door was kicked open. Su Ming walked in slowly from behind the door. The divine soldiers in the temple took 2 steps back in fear. They all just heard from Enel that a dangerous guy had arrived. If even God says it's dangerous, let alone people like me. On the bench, Enel looked at Su Ming with interest. His eyes showed undisguised contempt. You are trying to usurp the divine authority. I never thought you would dare to come. I will test your strength now. God is merciful and will not hold you accountable for your disrespect. After passing the final test, you will become the new priest. Feel honored. Enel walked up to Su Ming and looked at him, just waiting for him to burst into tears of gratitude. However, while Enel was still reveling in himself, Su Ming had already walked around Enel, walked to his chair, picked up an apple and took a bite. It's so G tiring to pretend to be a god. Advertisement. I heard you've been a god here for 6 or 7 years. How do you keep pretending? Su Ming looked at Enel curiously. Even if Enel's rule is tyranny, it is high-pressure governance. But after all, he calls himself God, so he still needs to be careful about his words and actions. Otherwise, gods are the same as mortals, so why are you a god? What? This is your last name. So Su Ming really admires Enel a little. Su Ming was telling the truth, but Enel's face darkened. Damn you, you have blasphemed God again and again. I have changed my mind. You will be punished by God. God will. Ha. A crisp slap sounded in the hall. God, huh, I'm talking to you nicely, but you don't want to listen, right? Damn it, you are the village chief of a small place with tens of thousands of people. Are you addicted to acting? Lousy showed his identity below and dozens of countries called me a god. Am I showing off? Lousy is a celestial dragon. Did you show off? I'm giving you some face, but you still put it on. At some point, Su Ming disappeared from the chair and came in front of Enel, grabbing Enel's head and punching him left and right. All the priests in the hall were stunned. God was beaten. It is deeply ingrained in their minds that God is invincible. But today, this thing was broken. Even Enel's brain was down. You, a mortal, can actually touch me. Su Ming was so angry that he laughed at Enel's words. He clenched his fists and took a deep breath. You've been pretending to be a god for too long, something's wrong with you, but don't worry. I learned from Monkey, and I specialize in treating your disease. A few slaps from the armed color will bring you back to reality. Bang. Tell me, who are you? I am God. Bang. Tell me, who are you? How dare you, a mortal? Bang. Tell me, who are you? Wait, stop fighting, my name is Enel, sit down and talk. Chapter 210. Top-level observation hockey, listening to the voice of the heart. Inside the temple, Enel looked at Su Ming with a wary look. Su Ming sat in Enel's seat as if nothing had happened, eating an apple. Please sit down. You're welcome. Just treat it like your own home. I'm a very easygoing person. Enel, this place is my home. And how dare you say that you are easygoing? Look into my eyes and dare you say it again, it wasn't you who slapped me just now. You guy, this is my temple and the seat you sit on is also mine. Enel said unconvinced. Su Ming nodded. It seems that the treatment is effective. He no longer calls himself a god. 2 more courses of treatment should completely cure his Chunabu problem. Also, let me correct you on one point. You said this is your chair. Do you have any evidence? Will it respond when you call it? Enel was so angry that his teeth itched, and he said viciously, my name is on it. Su Ming raised his eyebrows. What's your name? Yes, right there on the handrail. Su Ming looked down and saw that there was indeed some words engraved there. Su Ming stroked his chin and looked at the words engraved on the armrest of the chair. This chair is made entirely of gold. This middle school boy with a second-year syndrome is quite extravagant. Enel snorted. Now you know, I carved those words myself. I thought Su Ming would be speechless because of what I said, but Su Ming's next words almost made Enel vomit blood in anger. So, why did you write your name on my chair? No, Lousy is getting angrier the more I think about it. I have to give you 2 more courses of treatment. Enel widened his eyes and looked at Su Ming in disbelief. Is this human language you're talking about? Wait, don't come over here, no, don't. Su Ming rolled up his sleeves and walked towards Enel step by step. Because he was still planning to subdue Enel, Su Ming had sent the priests and servants in the temple out. Enel's miserable appearance was not seen by others. Above the temple, pitch-black thunder flashed continuously. Some brave Sky Island residents boarded the island of gods under the name of Su Ming. These people call themselves the true people of God. He already had the intention of competing with Enel's priests and servants. The priests who originally served under Enel were still afraid of Enel and did not dare to act too presumptuously. After seeing the flashes of lightning in the sky, the priests felt at ease. Humph, you dare to offend God, you will be turned into ashes under Kamui. That's right, look at the black thunder in the sky. Those who dare to call themselves gods must have been turned into charcoal by now. All the priests subconsciously thought that the thunder in the sky was Enel's trick. Advertisement. Feeling the terrifying pressure of the thunder in the sky, the believers who decided to follow Su Ming secretly sweated in their palms. Although his true god seemed very powerful, could he really hold on under this mighty lightning? As if sensing the believers' nervousness, Enel's priest showed a sarcastic look on his face. HMPH, just wait. God will punish you after he has dealt with that fake guy. At the same time, inside the hall, Enel, who believed in the priest sect, was charred all over, with bursts of green smoke coming out of his mouth, and his eyes turned white, as if he had been touched by high-voltage electricity. Su Ming sat back in his chair again, looked at Enel, and yawned with some boredom. Enel was filled with doubts. He wondered if he had eaten fake thunder fruit. Faced with Su Ming's humiliation, Enel would of course resist. Even because of Su Ming's terror, Enel used all his strength. By activating the power of thunder fruit, the thunder condensed in the sky is several times more terrifying than before. When Enel first saw the lightning forming in the sky, he was a little surprised. Unconsciously, my strength has increased so much. However, the next second, the terrifying thunder did not hit Su Ming as he expected, but instead fell on himself. Moreover, this black thunder felt exactly the same as when Su Ming slapped him in the face. He couldn't avoid it even if he wanted to transform into an element. Su Ming lay sideways on the chair and looked at Enel with a smile. Of course, normal Logia attack methods cannot be attached with Haki. After all, Devil Fruit abilities and Haki are 2 mutually exclusive powers. Any means that exist in the form of energy cannot be added with Haki. But Su Ming possesses top-level armament Haki, and the strengthened Thunder God Fruit does not have the weaknesses of ordinary fruit abilities. The combination of the 2 actually broke this barrier. Seeing that Enel had calmed down, Su Ming told him why he was there. 1 Logia fruit is not enough to make you a god. There are many strong people on the sea who can restrain your abilities. Fortunately, you are still somewhat useful. I will give you a chance. Follow me and I can let you see a wider world. Enel also breathed a sigh of relief at this time. He looked at Su Ming, the dangerous man. You want me to follow you? In front of Su Ming, Enel has completely lost its godly airs. But he didn't completely believe Su Ming's words. It's not like there weren't guys from Shanghai coming to Sky Island before, but those guys were no match for his abilities. Only a monster like Su Ming could beat himself so badly. Enel thought to himself, I just had bad luck. This guy is definitely a terrifying existence even in Qingdao. But to say that there are many people stronger than me is absolutely impossible. Enel remains confident in its own strength. Advertisement. As a strong person, you should have the dignity of a strong person. How can you follow others so easily? Su Ming glanced at Enel nonchalantly and said calmly, you think a lot. You are not unlucky, you are too lucky. In the past 6 or 7 years, not a single person of decent ability has landed on Sky Island. And you're only half right. My strength is indeed among the best in Qinghai. But you are not really considered a strong person in Qinghai. You are far from being a strong person. You don't even have the necessary means to be a top strong person. I'm giving you a chance to follow me, not because I think you're strong, but because you have other uses. Don't make yourself so dramatic. After Su Ming finished speaking, Enel's eyes suddenly widened. For the first time, fear appeared in his eyes. It was either surprise, fear or dread. Can you know what I'm thinking? Although Enel has a hard network, it can understand people's emotions to a certain extent. But that is the effect of combining with the Thunder Fruit ability. Judge a person's emotional changes through the human body's magnetic field. I could never bear to hear someone's inner voice so terrifying. The rumors on Sky Island that it is all-knowing and can eavesdrop on people's thoughts are nothing but false rumors. But the man in front of me really knows exactly what I am thinking. After all, they are talking to each other. This means that I have no secrets in front of him. Enel's Adam's apple moved. Su Ming slowly sat up and stretched. Okay, stop guessing. I can hear what you're thinking. This can be considered as the ultimate use of the ability of observation hockey. So, you don't understand. Your mind net is actually a kind of observation hockey. Since you think you are very strong and still doubt what I said, then let's do this. Aren't there still a group of people coming to Sky Island? As long as you can defeat them all, I can leave here, and you can continue to be your god, and you don't have to follow me. And I can also teach you the ability that attacked you before. But if you still lose, just follow me. Enel was about to refuse, wondering why he should make this bet. But before he could open his mouth, Su Ming had already flashed to his side and pressed his shoulder. Think it over before you speak. You don't have any other choice. Or take this bet, or I'll turn you into charcoal. You don't think that attack just now is my limit, do you? After Su Ming finished speaking, he raised his head towards the thunderclouds that had not yet dispersed in the sky. Enel looked up and saw a thunder dragon made entirely of black lightning slowly poking its head out from the clouds. The power was 100 times more terrifying than the lightning that Enel had felt before. Chapter 211 Enel, you're cheating. Feeling the terrifying pressure of the black thunder dragon in the sky, Enel gritted his teeth and finally nodded helplessly. Okay, I agree to your bet. Faced with Su Ming's terrifying strength, he knew he had no choice. Su Ming showed a satisfied smile on his face. Well, that's right. Okay, then you can handle the rest by yourself. I won't get involved. Don't even think about running away. I can use your mind net, and its range is definitely much larger than you think. Even if you want to take a spaceship to some infinite land, I can still find a way to catch you back. Su Ming sat back in his chair and said casually. Enel's body stiffened and the expression on his face changed. Is this guy a devil? Snap. A bolt of lightning struck at Enel's feet. I can hear what's in your heart. Enel. Enel walked out of the temple frustrated. Su Ming looked at Enel's back as he left, a smile flashed across his face, and he lay down on the chair leisurely, swinging his legs and closing his eyes to rest. At the same time, Luffy and others also landed on the island of God. Several people were walking in the dense forest and had unknowingly separated. Well, it's not as scary as those people outside say. There's nothing at all. Luffy complained somewhat unhappily. Before coming here, Sky Island residents said that the Island of Gods was almost a forbidden area and full of dangers. This aroused great expectations in Luffy, who loved adventure. But when he got here, he couldn't even see a rabbit on the island. This gap between the beginning and the end made Luffy feel a little demotivated. By the way, when I came here, it seemed like a lot of people were coming here. Is there any sacrificial activity going on? Isn't it a party? Luffy's eyes lit up. If there really is a banquet, can I eat and drink for free? In Luffy's simple mind, a banquet equals eating meat. He was suddenly full of energy and ran towards the center of the island. In the Shandian tribe, the war ghost Wappa looked at everyone who had changed into new equipment with a serious expression. I just received news that there is unrest on the Island of Gods. A guy who calls himself God has appeared on Sky Island and is now fighting with Enel. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for us. We must take this opportunity to take back our homeland. Advertisement. And this time is different from the past. We have new weapons provided by our friends in Qinghai. We will definitely be able to overthrow this so-called god. The Shandia people below were so excited when they heard this. Returning to their homeland is their lifelong goal and also their ancestral teaching. And this goal may very likely be achieved in my own hands, so it would be a lie to say that I am not excited. Below, in the crowd, Lackey clenched the 98K in his hand, his eyes filled with worry and anticipation. The bullet was loaded into the chamber, and the strange, cracked blue-gray bullet that Su Ming had given her was worn around her neck as a pendant. Putting the gun behind his back, Lackey took a deep breath and looked at the bullet pendant around his neck. Although I know that guy is a profiteer and you are just an ordinary bullet, not a talisman, but please bless us. On the Island of Gods, Enel was walking on the road with a gloomy face, and the words, I'm unhappy, were almost written on his face. Suddenly a tiger jumped out from the dense forest, seemingly trying to catch prey, and passed by here. Enel raised his hand and a bolt of lightning struck. The tiger's eyes rolled back and he fell to the ground. At this moment, Enel would get 2 slaps if he saw a dog on the street, let alone a tiger that appeared so brazenly in front of him. Humph, that monster. Enel wanted to curse, but then he remembered that the monster also had a mind network, and his every move was being monitored, so he could only swallow his words in frustration. After electrocuting the tiger to the ground, Enel's mood did not improve. Looking at the tiger that was foaming at the mouth due to the electric shock, Enel thought of himself. Am I the same as this tiger in front of that monster? Enel became angrier and angrier, and he sent several electric shocks to the tiger. He didn't stop until the tiger's tail was straightened. People cannot share the same joys and sorrows, let alone people and animals. Enel kicked the upright tiger aside and said angrily, "Get rid of those guys from Shanghai as soon as possible." The hard net unfolded, covering the entire island of God, and the location of the Straw Hat crew was immediately known to Enel. Enel's figure turned into a flash of lightning and disappeared on the spot. A hunt for the Straw Hat pirates officially begins. Su Ming was in the temple, leisurely eating fruit while watching Enel's every move through his ultra-long-range observation hockey. Yeah, not bad. This Chunibun is a little stronger than I thought. Zoro and Sanji were subdued in one encounter. The only one left is my oldest nephew. Tisk, that little expression, it seems like his confidence is back. I hope you can still be so happy later. With the perception of the color of sight, Su Ming felt like he was watching a real-life movie. I am still looking forward to the battle between Enel and Luffy. Advertisement. In the original work, Enel's defeat by Luffy was somewhat of a plot kill. Although rubber is not conductive, that is relative. If the electricity is strong enough, even rubber will be pierced. Logically speaking, with Luffy's current strength, he would have to get his employees to let him win in order to defeat Crocodile. It is almost impossible to defeat Enel. After all, with Enel's strength, if it were placed in Shanghai, it would be equivalent to at least 2.5 Laosha. But Enel's fruit attributes are the same as his. Luffy, who has been receiving Su Ming's love education since childhood, has had his lightning resistance maxed out by Su Ming. Apart from his fruit ability, Enel's physical skills are terrible, so it's doomed to tragedy when he meets Luffy. As a qualified celestial dragons, you should never make a bet that you might lose, and always have the final say. If my nephew is really disappointing, he still can't beat Enel even with all the buffs stacked up. At worst, I can just do it myself and make Enel lose his memory, and then start over again. Luffy must win anyway. Enel easily dealt with the other members of the Straw Hat crew with a look of disdain on his face. Tisk, that guy is really a liar. He wants me to follow you. With successive victories, Enel regained its confidence. Now I will defeat the last guy, and when I learn that strange power. Enel didn't say anything else, but he was thinking in his mind. When I learn Su Ming's strange power that can attack me, I will definitely become stronger than Su Ming, and then I can take revenge. I am the real god, the real chosen one. Enel picked up the Straw Hat crew and transformed himself into lightning, appearing in front of Luffy in the blink of an eye. Boy, you are the only one left. I don't want to waste time. I will finish you off in one move. Lei Ying. Luffy didn't even have time to say hello before he was engulfed by the terrifying lightning. Enel yawned in boredom. Tisk, Shanghai or something is just a place for mortals to stay. The lightning dissipated, and Enel prepared to take the Straw Hat boy, whom he had killed, back to Su Ming to make him fulfill his promise. However, just after taking one step, Enel froze. Luffy was seen standing there, looking excited. Wow, sure enough, there's a party here. You are the guy in charge of setting off the fireworks, right? I am here to attend the party as well. Where is the food? Enel, are you cheating? Chapter 212 Enel, shoot. Enel looked at Luffy with a look of disbelief in his eyes. Hey, are you okay? Luffy scratched his head and looked at Enel in confusion. What's the problem? Are you a pyrotechnician? I'm pirates, do you want to come on my ship? Enel took a deep breath. Today is really weird. The thunder and lightning that always worked well in the past seem to have expired today. Impossible. Stop pretending in front of me, you must be in so much pain right now, just holding on like that, right? This god has seen through you, and now I will let you know how powerful I am. 30 million volt thunder beast. Enel slammed the thunder drum on his left shoulder, releasing a large amount of lightning, and transformed into a wolf-like creature in the air, which pounced towards Luffy. The lightning was very fast and Luffy had no time to dodge it before it penetrated his body. Enel said excitedly. Ha ha ha, you can't hold on this time. Ha ha, why the hell are you still standing? Enel's smile froze on his face. It was because he saw that Luffy, who was hit head-on by his move, was still standing there, as if nothing had happened, without any change. No, it should be said that compared to before, after seeing Enel's move, Luffy was obviously more excited. Wow, this one is even more beautiful than the last one. You really are a fireworks artist. Please join my pirates group. With you here, the banquets will definitely be very interesting. Luffy's eyes were full of stars. Enel, you are the pyrotechnician, your whole family is a fireworks expert. I am a god. That is divine thunder. Who the hell are you and why are you immune to thunder and lightning? Enel stared at Luffy, gritting his teeth in anger. Luffy was stunned for a second, as if he was thinking for a moment, and then he showed a surprised expression. Oh, why does this feel so familiar? It turns out you were using lightning instead of fireworks. Are you going to help me exercise? I didn't realize you're such a nice person. But, didn't you eat? This lightning is too weak. It seems like there are a lot of people here. They should be having a party. How about we go eat something and then exercise after we are full? Luffy didn't feel at all that Enel was trying to harm him. Enel was broken by Luffy's words. Have you not eaten enough? You be ***************, I'm going to chop you into charcoal. 200 million volts, Thunder God. A large amount of lightning wrapped around Enel's body, his body began to grow rapidly, and the thunder drum behind him made bursts of noise. Go to hell. Enel used his strongest move, and the thunder fell like a pillar from heaven. After a few breaths, the lightning dissipated, and a deep pit of more than 10 meters was blasted out on the ground by the lightning. This guy should be dead now. Enel slowly returned to his original state, looking breathlessly in the direction of the deep pit. Suddenly, a hand reached the edge of the pit, and Luffy jumped out of the pit. Luffy looked at Enel, the smile on his face faded, and he became serious, walking towards Enel step by step. Advertisement. Enel was not panicked, and there was a fighting spirit in his eyes. HMPH, do you know how painful it is? Although I am a little surprised that you can still stand up, but since it works, you are destined to be defeated by me. I am invincible and you can't even touch me. Before Enel could finish his words, Luffy walked up to him and grabbed Enel's hand with a serious look on his face. Please join my team. I underestimated you before, but I was short-sighted. Since my uncle is no longer around, I haven't experienced the feeling of using lightning to train my body. Although your lightning effect is very weak, it's better than nothing. Please join my team. Arigato gozaimasu. Luffy bowed deeply 90 degrees to Enel, with his attitude as sincere as possible. The vein on Enel's forehead kept throbbing. You think of me as a power bank, right? Return your uncle. Who is your uncle? How dare he compare with me? Call him out. I will chop him into charcoal. You are all so disrespectful to God. Today, I will punish you. You're not afraid of thunder and lightning, right, Lei Ji? Enel gathered lightning on the long stick in his hand, and the metal stick slowly turned into the shape of a trident under the high temperature. Just at this moment, Enel, your end is here. A tall tree, with the war ghost Wappa standing on a thick branch. He was carrying a rocket launcher on his shoulder, and behind him, there seemed to be some secret weapon covered with black cloth, not revealed. Enel, give up the Holy Land, this is our homeland. Enel raised his eyebrows. Shandian, you are a bunch of clowns. I don't have time to deal with you now. Please stay aside. Enel didn't take the war ghost Wappa seriously and threw a lightning cage at him. Wappa was unable to dodge and was trapped in the cage. Wappa, there was a noise in the jungle. Hundreds of Shandia people emerged from the dense forest. Enel, release Wappa and give up the Holy Land, or don't blame us for being rude. Yes, we are well prepared this time. The Shandians who got the new weapons were very confident, and even when facing Enel, they still spoke with full of momentum. Enel looked around. It seems that they heard the news and came over here. Enel knew without a doubt that the reason these Shandians chose this time to attack the Island of Gods was definitely because they had received news that a new god was challenging them, and they wanted to take back the Island of Gods while both sides were hurt. Unfortunately, you guys made the wrong calculation. That guy is not someone you can handle at all. Enel had a look of sarcasm in his eyes. Not to mention whether this group of Shandia people can defeat me, even if they can really defeat me, in front of that monster, these guys can only take one move. Such a weak group of guys actually dared to shout in front of him. Enel rubbed his shoulders and neck, looking distracted. Then let's get rid of you guys who are in the way now. Advertisement. I just don't believe that you can ignore God's punishment. Enel decided to put the Straw Hat Boy aside for now and deal with these little ants first. Thunder Net. Be careful, don't get trapped by him. Attack. Attack quickly. The Shandians dodged Enel's lightning and fired at him. However, a despairing scene appeared before their eyes. Bullets pierced through Enel's body, but no blood spurted out as expected. Arcs of electricity flashed at Enel's wounds, and in the blink of an eye they were restored to normal. On the other hand, all the Shandian people were trapped in the lightning net. Outside the mine net, Lackey was standing far away and luckily escaped being covered by the mine net. Enel flashed and came in front of her. Bang, 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 ... Lackey panicked and fired all the bullets in Vice Admiral's hand at Enel, but it did not cause any harm to Enel. Lackey, run! Wappa yelled from inside the cage. Lackey's body began to tremble. Enel's stature was not particularly tall, but the pressure she was under at the moment was enormous. Enel looked at Lackey with contempt, and even put his abdomen against the muzzle of the gun, as if to say, I am invincible, you can do whatever you want. Ants, gods are always gods. Mortals cannot harm gods. Crack. Lackey pulled the trigger again, but there was a hollow sound from the gun. The bullets have been emptied. Lackey's eyes gradually dimmed. It's over. This time, all the warriors in the tribe went out, but this is the result. Suddenly, Lackey thought of something, and his eyes, which had dimmed, lit up again. Enel noticed the change in Lackey and looked at the woman with interest, as if he was looking at a toy. After making sure that these Shandia people could not attack him and that his fruit ability was still effective, Enel's old problem came back and he acted like a god again. Ant, what else do you have to say? Use it, and I will take over. Lackey said nothing, but pulled the last bullet from his neck and pressed it into the chamber of the gun. Enel laughed contemptuously. Haha, it's useless. No matter how many times you try, the result will be the same. God will not be hurt. Enel still had no intention of dodging, as the waist is the most vulnerable part of the human body and is the most accurate target for gunfire. Bang. Gunshots rang out again. ... Quiet. Enel slowly lowered his head and looked at the bloody hole on his kidney with his eyes wide open. Chapter 213 New God. How could you hit me? This is impossible. Enel covered his waist with one hand, looked at the gun in Lackey's hand in disbelief, and staggered back 2 steps. In fact, Lackey also looked at the weapon in his hand in disbelief. Does it really work? The bullet I just fired was just my last counterattack in desperation, and I didn't really think it would be effective. Unexpectedly, this bullet actually created a miracle and injured Enel. Inside the temple, Su Ming couldn't bear it and covered his eyes. I really didn't expect Enel's shot. The reason why I gave Lackey a seastone bullet was simply because I made too much money and it would be unreasonable not to give him some gifts. Who would have thought that such an inconspicuous seastone bullet could actually break Enel's kidney? That woman Lackey really won. Su Ming sat up, stroking his chin, a little worried. I hope Enel will become autistic after being beaten. First he met me, and was beaten up by me because I was so strong. Then I met Luffy, whose attributes were restrained by him. I just regained some confidence from a group of Shandians, but was taught a lesson by seastone bullets. If I fail, wouldn't my idea of training a substitute for myself be in vain? Tisk, let's go out and save this old guy. Su Ming stood up and walked out of the temple. He may not care about Enel's life or death, but it is troublesome to train a new Thunder Fruit user. On the battlefield, Luffy was more nervous than Enel himself when he saw Enel getting injured. Pyrotechnician, are you okay? Hey, why are you guys shooting at others? When the war ghost Wappa saw Enel injured, his eyes lit up. Hurry, kill Enel now and take back our homeland. Wappa tore off the cloth bag covering Gatling. The muzzle of the Gatling gun began to rotate. As the first gunshot rang out, bullets rained out like a rainstorm, and Enel's pupils shrank. After learning the lesson from Lackey, Enel never dared to take these bullets head on again. Although he felt that these bullets posed no threat to him, who knew whether the cunning Shandians would insert some strange bullets like the ones just now. I don't have that many kidneys for them to hit. Enel turned into lightning and left the shooting range. Due to his injuries, Enel's power weakened, and the lightning net that trapped the Shandians slowly dissipated. At the same time, the Straw Hat crew members who were previously knocked unconscious by Enel also rushed over. Advertisement. Luffy, be careful, that guy with long ears is what the people of Sky Island call God, and he just attacked us. Nami's voice came from far away. Luffy turned around and saw Sanji, Zoro, Usopp and the others all rushing over with their bodies burnt black. Seeing his companions covered in wounds, Luffy's face darkened. You are the enemy. Enel held the golden trident and looked at the Shandians and Luffy's group warily. You bunch of damn guys, whatever tricks you played, it's over. How dare you offend this god again and again? Then die. 300 million volts, thunder welcome. A large amount of thunder and lightning began to gather in the sky. Quick, attack, don't let him succeed. The war ghost Wappa's eyes were bloodshot and he shouted madly. They had already seen Enel's lightning just now. Faced with such a terrifying force, he and others would definitely not be able to resist it. Bullets continued to fire towards Enel's position, but they no longer had the same effect as before. The Shandia people gritted their teeth. Everyone knew that if things continued like this, unless a miracle happened, they would soon die here. But not a single Shandia stopped shooting. They can only hope for a miracle to happen again. Those who offend God should all die. Enel's face showed a bit of ferocity. Just when the thunder and lightning were about to strike. Rubber. Musket. Enel didn't react at all. Luffy punched him hard in the stomach. The punch was so powerful and close to the wound that Enel's eyes turned white and he almost fainted. The lightning that had just accumulated was interrupted by Luffy's punch and dissipated. The war ghost Wappa's eyes lit up. Can this kid hit Enel? Quick, cover that guy in the straw hat. Enel's physical skills were terrible and he was seriously injured, so he was no match for Luffy when he got close to him. Because of the pain, even the heart network was disturbed and the predictions were no longer accurate. Enel was forced into a desperate situation at this moment. Damn it, is what that guy said true? Advertisement. Are all the monsters like this in Qinghai? Looking at the crazy eyes of the Shandians, Enel knew that if he fell into their hands, he would only die. After struggling for a while, a hint of determination flashed in Enel's eyes. I am willing to follow you, please save me. Enel shouted to the sky. Everyone was shocked when they heard this, and their nerves suddenly tensed up. What's the meaning? Does this guy Enel have any helpers? Enel is already so strong, so how strong must the guy he uses as his lifeline be? A bad premonition arose in everyone's heart. Not far away, Zoro and Sanji dragged their seriously injured bodies forward and prepared for battle. If this Enel really has foreign aid, then today is bound to be a tough battle. Everyone's heart was in their throat. Only Luffy continued to walk towards Enel step by step. Enel looked at Luffy and took 2 steps back in fear. You guys, that monster will be here soon. You are definitely no match for him. Luffy clenched his fists. No matter who's behind you, if he dares to hurt my companions, I will beat him away. Rubber. Bazooka. Luffy used all his strength in this move, and the seriously injured Enel had no way to dodge it. A hint of fear finally appeared in Enel's eyes. He could only watch as Luffy's fist grew bigger and bigger in front of him. Just at this moment, a figure instantly appeared in front of Luffy and easily blocked Luffy's fist. Well, they are all acquaintances. I'm sorry, but I still need this person, so I can't let you beat him away. Su Ming turned his back to Luffy and the other Shandians, looked at the frightened Enel, and raised his eyebrows. Have you thought it through? Enel nodded. Save me, and I will follow you in the future. Su Ming let go of Luffy's hand, smiled, and slowly turned around to look at the Shandians and the Straw Hat crew. Everyone has heard it. From today on, I am the new god here. If you have any questions, please speak to me. Who is in favor, who is against? As Su Ming turned around, everyone's eyes widened. Uncle, Swindler, Thunder Admiral, Chapter 214 Titanium Alloy Kidneys. The Shandia people looked at Su Ming with confusion. Luffy and his gang didn't understand what Su Ming meant when they called him that. But obviously, everyone present knew this guy. More importantly, Su Ming actually called himself the new god. Doesn't that mean that he was the one confronting Enel before? Lackey held the gun and looked at Su Ming with complicated eyes. Are you doing this on purpose? Do you want to catch us all in one fell swoop? Wappa looked at Su Ming and questioned. Su Ming looked at Wappa and shrugged. You think too much. I just want to make some money. How is it? The weapon is useful, right? Behind him, Enel's eyes twitched and he covered his waist. You sold them these weapons. Su Ming grinned unkindly. It's mainly because they have a need. You know, I'm a businessman, and I can't refuse business that comes to my door. Enel, damn it, I just said I would follow this guy, can I take it back? Su Ming made a fortune from the Shandia people, but he himself was badly hurt. As if he could see what was in Enel's heart, Su Ming smiled and patted Enel on the shoulder. Okay, don't worry about it. It's just a kidney. I know some top scientists who can help you get another one later. If you are not satisfied with the original one, I will pay for it out of my own pocket and get you a titanium one. I will give you a strong kidney and ensure that you will never have to worry about your kidney function again. And I can give you a suggestion. If we want to change, let's change a set. Vegapunk has figured out how to make objects eat devil fruit. Then I'll ask him to make you a titanium alloy kidney and a Logia fruit. Then you'll be a dual fruit user, so awesome. Enel was stunned by what Su Ming said. Really? Can there be such a benefit? Su Ming grinned. Of course others don't have it, but who made you follow a good boss, that is, rich? Perform well. If I'm happy, I'll help you change your little brother. Enel's eyes lit up, and the pain in his waist was relieved a lot. Is this an opportunity I have encountered? Okay, it's settled. You must be responsible for my injury. Su Ming wiped his nose and smiled. He didn't expect that this guy was so happy. Looked at some parts of Enel. Although he was just talking nonsense to appease Enel, but when he thought about it carefully, it seemed that this method was not impossible. Advertisement. After all, the power of the fruit can be used on swords, so there is no reason why it cannot be used on medical accessories. It's a pity that Mera Mera fruit and Lava Lava fruit both have owners. Otherwise, Su Ming would definitely let Enel try it. When the battle starts, he would take out his little brother and fire a hot bomb at the opponent. I don't know if the damage is high, but it is definitely very insulting. Su Ming was daydreaming. The Shandians' eyes had begun to change slowly. From the initial complexity, they gradually became hostile and surrounded Enel, Su Ming and Straw Hat Luffy. Luffy just called this man uncle. Zoro and his companions realized that something was wrong and became alert. It seems these guys think we are one group. The weapons they have are dangerous, and there are so many of them, so we have to be careful. Enel watched this scene but was not worried. Instead, he looked at Su Ming with a nonchalant look. Hey, since I'm following you, you have to protect my life. These Shandian people are in your care. Enel looked at Su Ming and reminded him. Su Ming rolled his eyes. I'm not as violent as you, okay. If you want to become a god, you must influence them with love. Su Ming opened his hands and tried his best to look holy. Everyone, the tyrannical period of Enel's rule is over. Now you don't have to worry about this guy anymore. Live here peacefully. I will give you enough freedom and protection. You two will return to your native land once again. Of course, if you want to live a better life in a fairyland-like place, you still have to put in some work. I will provide paid labor for you all. You will welcome a true god. A smile unique to unscrupulous businessmen flashed across Su Ming's face. I thought that my goodwill would easily influence the Shandian people who had been ruled by Enel's tyranny for a long time. After all, compared to Enel, I am much more merciful. In order to win over these Shandian people, he even gave up this so-called holy land. However, the next second, bang, a gunshot. Su Ming's hand spread out and a bullet was stopped. Humph, this is our homeland, we don't need any new gods. This is our territory, we have the final say. The person who spoke was none other than the leader of the Shandia people, Wappa. Advertisement. Su Ming's face suddenly turned gloomy. His aura also began to rise. In the sky, countless thunders began to gather, and the entire sky was covered with dark clouds. It's like the end of the world. Enel looked at the group of Shandians with a half smile, and muttered softly, a bunch of ignorant guys. This guy is not as easy to talk to as me. Su Ming narrowed his eyes and glanced around. Are you choosing to resist? Wappa pointed his gun at Su Ming. We don't need God. Su Ming. Damn it, you bunch of unruly people, you must have a god today. Su Ming finally realized that this Wappa had no intention of taking back any homeland. It was obvious that the other Shandian people had been moved by what I said. After all, these people have always lived under theocracy. To them, being managed by God is a perfectly normal thing. Now that they have a god who is relatively nice to them, they are not so repulsive. Only this Wappa, this guy actually really wants to be the ruler. A murderous intent flashed in Su Ming's eyes. Becoming the god of Sky Island is an essential step to transporting the gold yourself. If this guy insists on stopping us, there's nothing we can do. The thunder and lightning in the sky became more and more violent. Wappa seemed to sense something as well, and a thin layer of sweat broke out on his forehead. He was betting that this man would not kill all the Shandians. Enel has been seriously injured. As long as he can drive this guy away, he can take back the Holy Land. Unfortunately, Wappa miscalculated. Su Ming has never been an easy person to deal with, especially when it comes to his own interests. Su Ming showed a sneer on his face. You are a bunch of hypocritical guys. You won't back down if I give you a chance. Look at the wings behind you. Don't you think it's ridiculous to talk about taking back our homeland? I'll ask you one last time, do you surrender? At the same time, a figure riding a strange-looking Pegasus was rushing towards the battlefield. Gonfowl looked anxious. Damn it, we should be able to make it in time. We mustn't s that guy off. This is a real big shot. If I get really angry, Sky Island will be destroyed too. Chapter 215 Divine Means. Su Ming was just about to kill these ignorant guys. Suddenly a slightly hasty voice interrupted Su Ming's actions. Wait a minute. Gonfowl finally arrived at the last moment, panting heavily. Hey, it's Uncle Sky Knight. Luffy recognized the old man's identity at a glance. Gonfowl. The war ghost Wappa also recognized the former predecessor of Sky Island. Gonfowl ignored everyone and went straight to Su Ming. In the shocked eyes of the crowd, Gonfowl bowed deeply to Su Ming at a 90-degree angle and said sincerely, I'm sorry, sir from Shanghai, please forgive the rudeness of the residents here. I would like to apologize to you on their behalf. Su Ming raised his eyebrows and looked at the hunched old man in front of him with interest. This previous Sky Island god of Enel obviously knew something that others didn't know, such as the news of Qinghai. Do you recognize me? Gonfowl lowered his head. Yes, sir, I have received your news. Marine Admiral, your excellency has come here for the Golden Country, right? I know the exact location of the Golden Country. As long as you are willing to let them go, I can lead the way for you. Su Ming's eyes lit up. This old man really had something in his hands. The mysterious Golden Land that was talked about by the outside world was like a back garden to him. If I had this guy leading the way, I could save myself a lot of trouble. But Su Ming did not agree to him immediately, and continued to ask, without you, I will find the Golden Country sooner or later, but now someone is stopping me. You are more knowledgeable than them. You should know what it means to stop me. Gonfowl wiped the sweat from his forehead. Don't worry, I will help you persuade them and make sure they won't stop you, my lord. Looking at the humble old man, Su Ming still had no intention of stopping. The power of thunder continues to accumulate. Gonfowl began to sweat in anxiety. Although Luffy is a thick-skinned person, he also realized that something was wrong. He was about to speak, but was scared back by Su Ming's look. Don't mind your own business, or I'll punish you, you little brat. The psychological trauma left over from childhood made Luffy shut up obediently. Wappa and others could not bear the pressure and raised their weapons again. Attack. This guy is going to kill us. We have no choice. Advertisement. Upon hearing this, the Shandians showed hesitation on their faces. Can he really win against this guy who is more terrifying than Enel? Bang. There was a gunshot, and Wappa fired a shot at Su Ming. But the bullet went straight through Su Ming's body, just like Enel did before, leaving a hole. In the blink of an electric arc, the wound disappeared. Enel behind him had an excited look on his face. Sure enough, this guy also has this ability. Su Ming looked at Gonfowl in front of him with calm eyes. At this moment, he really was like a god, and everyone in front of him was like an ant. When Su Ming was about to lose his last bit of patience, Gonfowl made a decision and knelt down in front of Su Ming in front of everyone. Please forgive the ignorant people of Sky Island. I am willing to follow you and discipline these people who offended the true god. Su Ming finally showed satisfaction in his eyes. This guy is quite sensible. I can't stay in Sky Island forever, Enel has to go back to Grand Line with me, so there must be a manager here. Gonfowl obviously saw this. But it is impossible to let these Shandia people go. Especially that war ghost Wappa, this guy is a warmonger, he must be made to feel scared and powerless, only then he will behave himself. After looking at everyone, the cold look on Su Ming's face slowly disappeared. The thunder accumulated in the sky also dissipated completely. Originally I was planning to destroy the entire Sky Island. Everyone breathed a sigh of relief when they heard this. It seems that Su Ming has changed his mind. However, the next second, a purple-black lightning suddenly appeared from the void and fell towards a Sky Island in the distance. The thunder exploded, and everyone on Sky Island could hear it clearly. The dazzling white light makes it impossible to open your eyes. After a few breaths, the white light slowly dissipated. Everyone looked in the direction where the thunder fell, their eyes widened for a moment, and they were speechless. There was the island where the Shandia people had previously lived. At this moment, under the thunder just now, it has completely disappeared. The place where Lu Yun was slowly filled up by Hai Yun. Advertisement. Only then did Su Ming look at Gonfowl and said slowly, your choice made Sky Island stay. From today on, you will manage Sky Island for me. And from now on, there will be no more so-called Shandia people and Sky Island people. This place will be renamed the Kingdom of God, and all residents living here will be gods. I will tell you the legal framework of the Kingdom of God as soon as possible. During this period, if anyone causes trouble or violates the law, I will personally take action to eliminate him and his relatives and friends. After Su Ming finished speaking, he ignored everyone and left with Enel. At the original place, the Shandia people didn't know where to go for a moment. Even the warmongering Wappa was completely shocked by Su Ming's power. So, can humans really possess power? Gon Fowl walked up to Wappa and sighed. Take your men and move to the main island. Wappa wanted to refuse. Lackey at the side spoke first. Okay, we understand. The Shandians are willing to join the Kingdom of God. Lackey, you. Wappa looked at Lackey in shock and anger. Lackey, who used to be a little afraid of Wappa, glared back at him this time. Enough. Wappa, do you want all your people to die with your ambition? Let's face the reality. Look at ourselves. We are no longer Qinghai people. For the sake of our so-called homeland, do we have to let our relatives and friends die here worthlessly? Those of you who are willing to join the Kingdom of God with me, please stand here. After Lackey finished speaking, the Shandians did not take any immediate action. But there was a commotion among the crowd. Finally, a somewhat plump Shandian came out and stood behind Lackey. If there is a first one, there will be a second one. In a moment, all the Shandia people, except Wappa, stood beside Lackey. Wappa looked at this scene, gritted his teeth unwillingly, and veins on his forehead throbbed. You will regret it. Wappa turned and left angrily. Lackey looked at Wappa's back as he left with a complicated look in his eyes. Finally, I turned my head and stopped looking. Inside the temple, Su Ming's lips curled up into a smile, and a flash of lightning flashed in his eyes. On the sea of clouds, a mighty ship was struck by thunder and shattered into pieces. The figure on Weiba also fell into the depths of the sea of clouds with a charred body, and disappeared without a trace. Chapter 216. The Man Who Wants to Become an 8th Level Shipwright, Lu Chi. Inside the temple, Enel looked at the man in front of him warily. Others didn't know, but I saw it clearly through my mind network just now. The leader of the Shandia people, Wappa, had been dealt with by the man in front of me without his knowledge. After all, Enel has been a god for 6 or 7 years, so it should know a little bit about calculations. It only took a little thought to guess why Su Ming did this. This guy was able to take over Sky Island and ascend to the throne of God so easily. In addition to his powerful strength, he also had a very accurate grasp of human nature and stance. These two simple sentences put Wappa and his Shandia people at odds with each other. If Wappa is left in the Shandia community, this guy's character will sooner or later become problematic. But if they were to forcibly suppress and wipe out the entire Shandia tribe. Although Su Ming can do it, the rest of the people on Sky Island will be afraid of and reject Su Ming. After all, no one wants the ruler above them to be a bloody and violent guy. And now, the Shandia people themselves kicked Wappa out of the group chat, so if Su Ming took action at this time, it would not cause any waves. Su Ming leaned back in his chair and yawned. Seeing Enel in a trance, he raised his eyebrows. Although the top-level observation hockey can listen to the voice of the heart, it is very energy-consuming. Su Ming certainly will not use it all the time. But even if he didn't need it at this moment, Su Ming could guess what Enel was thinking. Enel must have known about his disposal of Wappa. This guy is worried about himself. Okay, don't worry, just be quiet and behave yourself around me. I'm not as cold-blooded as you think. In fact, I was pretty good to my subordinates, and most of them benefited from it. Su Ming wasn't really trying to trick Enel. Now under Su Ming, the power held by Doflamingo, Crocodile, and even Gecko Moria in Shichibukai is incomparable to what it used to be. Not only can these guys gain a lot of profits through the night bar, their status among the pirates is almost as high as that of the 4 emperors. If it weren't for their lack of strength, the positions of the 4 emperors might have already been replaced. Moreover, these people all have their own small goals, and some are even enemies of the world government. Su Ming knows this very well and has no intention of stopping them. Of course, part of the reason is that I am too embarrassed to stop it. After all, he was still earning some extra money from the Revolutionary Army when he had nothing to do. When it comes to digging into the world government's corner, I am the one who wields the hoe the most vigorously. Enel felt a little relieved after hearing Su Ming's words. Okay, what are your plans after this? You've handed Sky Island over to Gonfowl to manage. Do you plan to stay here often? Advertisement. Su Ming stood up, walked to the window and looked at the thick vine standing in the sea of clouds. I still have something to do, so I'll leave later. Before that, let Gonfowl settle all the people on Sky Island so that your men can be used. The dozens of men under your command are far from enough to transport the gold. Enel was not surprised to hear Su Ming's words. Of course, it is impossible for a terrifying existence like Su Ming to come to a remote place like Sky Island just to establish a country. The only thing that could excite his heart here was probably the Golden Land. After that, I will continue to stay on Sky Island. And when will you give me the ability that can attack me? Su Ming smiled, turned around, walked to Enel and patted his shoulder. Don't worry, I won't break my promise. When things here are over, you and I will leave Sky Island together. As for the armament hockey, I will teach you when we return to Qinghai. Don't worry, if I have a bite of meat to eat, you will have a bowl to wash. Su Ming walked out of the temple. Enel was stunned, pondering what Su Ming said, and it took him a while to react. That's not right. You eat the meat and I wash the dishes, so I have nothing to do with this, right? However, when Enel tried to catch up, Su Ming had already gone far away. Time flies, and a month has passed. Gone for did not disappoint Su Ming. Under Su Ming's combination of kindness and force, the Sky Island natives and Shandia people, who were originally reluctant to join, gradually discovered that Su Ming was not as cruel as they had imagined. At least the laws are much more relaxed than during Enel's reign. Moreover, the number of people from Shanghai coming to Sky Island has increased significantly recently. At the same time, they brought a lot of Sky Island specialties, and the exchanges between the two places began to become close. People were no longer as repulsive to Su Ming, the foreign god, as before and slowly began to accept his rule. During this period, Su Ming was not idle either. With Enel leading the way, Su Ming easily found the Golden City. The gold reserves here did not disappoint him. The entire town was built with gold. If all of them were exchanged for Bailey's, it would be more than enough to fill the gap in the excess satellite railguns. Su Ming was sitting on the steps of the Golden Bell when a bolt of lightning flashed across the sky. Enel appeared in front of him. Seeing Su Ming, Enel bowed respectfully and then spoke. Boss, the Straw Hat Gang has left. Before leaving, he seemed to have taken some scraps mined in the Golden Country. Advertisement. They seem to be in great need of money. How about I ask someone to bring them some? He is your nephew after all. Isn't it a bit too shabby for him to be out there? Enel wanted to say whether it was a bit embarrassing for Su Ming, but after thinking about it, he decided not to say it. Su Ming smiled and waved his hand. Don't worry about them. That little bit of scraps is enough for them to exchange for more than $1 billion. If it's too much, they can't keep it. 10 billion Baileys is just a drop in the bucket for Su Ming. But to Luffy and the others, it was a huge fortune. If you have no strength but possess a lot of wealth, you are not far from death. If these tens of billions were to get out, who knows what kind of trouble it would bring to these little guys. At this time, a pink figure appeared in the distance and walked towards Su Ming. The person who came was Doflamingo. If such a huge amount of gold is to be exchanged for Pele quietly, some operations are definitely required. Doflamingo, who controls the underground world, is naturally the most suitable candidate. Coming closer, Doflamingo bowed his head respectfully. Boss. Su Ming didn't say anything, but stood up and looked at the huge golden clock behind him. Everyone is here, let's get started. At the same time. In the Water City, Khalifa sat in the houseboat office, a suit draped over her shoulders, looking like a female boss. She held a stack of drawings in her hand, with a smile on her lips. The Pluton design wasn't hidden very well, but it took the world government so long to find it. The quality of spies is really getting worse and worse. Khalifa glanced at the design casually and then threw it into the fireplace. In the boatman's dormitory, Lucci was holding a Den Dan Mushi with a rather ugly look on his face. Sir, is there something wrong with the intelligence department's information? We have searched the Water City thoroughly, but there is no design drawing of the ancient weapon. I've been hiding for 3 years and still haven't found it. Do I have to hide for another 3 years? I'm almost reaching level 8 in this shipyard. A cold voice came from the Den Dan Mushi. You all know how important the ancient weapon blueprints are. Let alone 3 years, we'll have to spend 30 years to find them. The information is absolutely correct. The design is in the Water City. There's no doubt about it. Keep looking. If you can't find it, don't come back. Chapter 217, Khalifa. In the basement dormitory, Luffy hung up the phone with a look of confusion in his eyes. Lucci, what's going on? Should we give up this mission first? In the small room, several CP9 members looked at Lucci expectantly. They really don't want to stay in this damn place anymore. Not only was it crowded and humid, but in order to live up to their status, these people had rarely seen meat in 3 years. I'm not afraid of hardship, but the problem is that there has been no progress at all on the task. They've been here long enough. 3 full years. This caused these agents, who had always been very confident in their abilities, to have self-doubt. Am I not suitable for this job? Khalifa didn't know what these people were thinking. If he knew, he would definitely feel very sympathetic towards them. The reason they haven't found the ancient weapon design for 3 years is not because they are incompetent, but because the world government is too stingy. What era is this? Are we still going undercover to gather intelligence? After receiving Su Ming's arrangement to find Pluton's design drawings, Khalifa immediately used his money power to acquire all the shipyards in Water City and parachuted in as the boss. With the help of this identity, he won over Tom and his 2 disciples, and soon obtained the Pluton design drawings. The process was not too simple. Of course, it's easier said than done, but it's mainly because Khalifa has a lot of money at its disposal. This kind of unlimited funding is something that CP9 members like Lucci, who work for the world government, wouldn't even dare to dream of. Faced with his companions' questions, Lucci sighed. The higher-ups told us to keep looking. If we can't find it, we don't have to go back. Everyone. In this case, the world government is abandoning these people in disguise. Several people were not surprised by the world government's approach. This is the consistent tone of world government. My situation is still relatively good. It is not uncommon for some agents who have carried out more secret missions to be secretly disposed of by the world government after they are no longer of any use. Lucci and his companions had served as executioners many times. However, now that the world government doesn't care about me, what should I do? Still looking for Pluton. After 3 years, I haven't found anything at all. There is no hope at all. Is it really possible that I will be a boatman for the rest of my life? Is this a joke? You were doing well as an agent, but suddenly you were forced to change your career. So what was the point of training so hard all those years? Advertisement. Just so you can swing the sledgehammer with more force. Realizing that their careers were about to suffer a setback, everyone in CP9 fell silent. Suddenly, Kaku, one of the members, said, Lucci, how about we go find that woman? You mean, Khalifa? The first person Lucci thought of was the other person. Although Khalifa, like himself and others, is a member of CP9, his background is not simple, and anyone with a discerning eye can see it. As for the tasks assigned by his superiors, Khalifa decides whether to accept them depending on his mood. Lucci reported this to his superiors many times, but in the end nothing came of it. Gradually, the few people no longer took Khalifa into account in their actions. But if you really count it, Khalifa is still one of their members. Khalifa is in the Water City now. If she can use her connections to talk to the world government, maybe they can go back. It's just that Lucci has never had the habit of asking for help from others, and now he has to ask Khalifa for help. Seeing that Lucci didn't say anything, Kaku continued, Lucci, why are you still hesitating? We have no choice now. Do you really want to be a shipwright in this shipyard for the rest of your life? Dry. When he heard that he would be a boatman here for the rest of his life, Lucci cursed inwardly and decided to put aside his pride. If I really stay here as a boatman for the rest of my life, wouldn't all the suffering I endured in the previous 10 years of training have been in vain? Let's go and find Khalifa together. In the office, Khalifa sat on a soft chair, sipping the local specialty coffee, feeling extremely happy. I don't know if that guy has found the Golden Country. Really, he doesn't even send me any news. Pluton's issue has been resolved, and Khalifa is hesitating whether to go to Sky Island to find Su Ming. Boom boom boom. There was a sudden knock on the door of the room, interrupting Khalifa's thoughts. Come in. Pushing open the door, Lucci and a few others walked into Khalifa's office. Looking at the spacious and bright office, several CP9 members felt a pang of sadness in their hearts. It's the same mission, but the difference is too big. The working environment at Khalifa is better than what I enjoy when I am on vacation. The staff dormitory for several people combined is not as big as Khalifa's bathroom. Evil capitalists. Several CP9 members forgot their purpose for a moment, and looked at Khalifa's spacious and bright room with resentment in their hearts. It was not until Khalifa spoke up that they came to their senses. Advertisement. Ahem, you came to see me, is there something going on? Khalifa was a little confused. She and these CP9 members have always kept to themselves. The relationship between Su Ming and the world government is becoming more and more delicate, and the two sides are strictly speaking more like enemies. I didn't expect that several people would come to me on their own initiative today. Lucci walked forward and looked at Khalifa seriously and said, we just contacted the world government about this mission. Khalifa held the coffee with a calm expression. Oh, really? Are there any new instructions from above? Lucci shook his head. It says that if we can't find the Pluton design, we don't have to go back. Puff. Khalifa couldn't help but spit out a mouthful of coffee. Lucci and his people. Several of your people have lost their jobs, so why are you so excited? Khalifa coughed twice, wiped his mouth, and smiled awkwardly. Ahem. Sorry, I didn't expect the higher-ups to take this matter so seriously. Looking at Lucci and the others, Khalifa had sympathy in his eyes. If I really follow what I said above, it would be an impossible task. After all, the ashes in my fireplace had just been cleaned away by the cleaning staff. How about I move you to a new dormitory, or give you a pay raise? Khalifa said tentatively. After all, these people lost their jobs indirectly because of themselves. Lucci was speechless for a moment because of Khalifa's kindness. Kaku and others were anxiously waiting behind. Hey, Lucci, come on, Khalifa, we want to ask you for help. You must have connections with the higher-ups, right? We don't want to be sailors for the rest of our lives. We hope you can help us get them to give up this mission, or replace them with someone else. Kaku couldn't help but stand up. The typical case of a Taoist who would rather die than let his friends die, he can die however he wants. Only then did Khalifa realize why they came to see him. But obviously, these people guessed wrong, and they really had no relationship with the top leaders of the world government. The reason why the world government doesn't dare to manage me is because I am earning salaries for them. Khalifa's mind turned, a smile appeared on the corner of his mouth, and he had an idea in his mind. Your situation is quite difficult. You should know the consequences of not completing the tasks assigned by the world government. The CP9 members were silent. Do I really have to be a boatman for the rest of my life? Suddenly, Khalifa changed the subject. But I can recommend a suitable job to you. The salary is definitely much higher than that of a boatman. I wonder if you are interested. Chapter 218. The trump card is in hand. Okay. In the Sky Island Temple, Su Ming was leaning back in his chair when the Den Den Mushi beside him suddenly started ringing. Su Ming answered the call calmly. Khalifa's voice came from inside. You guys, you're having such a good time on Sky Island that you almost forgot about me. Alas, men really don't cherish what they get. In a few years, I will be old and ugly. There were a few black lines on Su Ming's forehead. Okay, dear, when I get back from Sky Island, I'll set aside a month to spend time with you, okay? Counting the time, They have been together for almost 7 years, and Khalifa is becoming more and more clingy. Khalifa on the other side saw that his plan had succeeded and a satisfied smile appeared on his face. Okay, I won't tease you anymore. Let's talk about it when we get back. You'll be busy at the headquarters. Sister Guion and Hina always talk about you to me. And your little fangirls, led by Empress Hancock, are almost a cheering group. They are right here at the headquarters. Su Ming looked incredulous. Hancock is still in the headquarters. How long has this headquarters meeting been over? Is she, a pirate, planning to settle down in the naval headquarters? Khalifa covered her mouth and chuckled. I don't know, but I heard that Hancock stayed in the headquarters with the special approval of Mr. Sengoku. Of course, your master must have contributed a lot to it. Vice Admiral Garp seems to really want to have a grandchild. I think it may be that his son, apprentice, grandson, and god-grandson have all been ruined by him, so he wants to try harder with his apprentice. Su Ming's eyes twitched twice. Haha, tell that old man to give up this idea as soon as possible. Not to mention that I don't have a child yet, even if I do have one, I won't let him experiment. I can't make any effort. Just kidding, Garp is a notorious educational black hole. You must be very stupid to throw your child to him. After chatting with Khalifa for a while, the two turned the topic to business. I have good news for you. Several CP9 members who were on a mission in Water City have been abandoned by the world government. They found me a few days ago and hope that I can help them return to the world government. Su Ming raised his eyebrows. Then what did you do? Khalifa smiled knowingly. Don't waste the talent that comes to your door. However, we can't let them enter the core of the night bar directly. We have to observe them for a while. Let them be responsible for escorting the drinks in the bar first. Advertisement. Once you're sure there's no problem, transfer it to the intelligence network. Su Ming nodded. Khalifa settled the few people fairly well, and Su Ming was quite satisfied with it. Okay, I got it. I'll say hello to the world government. I want these people. Khalifa on the other end of the phone hesitated. It's just that you are openly poaching people from the world government, the five elders. Although there have always been frictions between Su Ming and the world government, Khalifa is still a little worried because of this straightforward statement. Su Ming smiled slightly, stood up and walked to the window. Gently push open the window, and you will see a sea of clouds outside. The golden town that was originally here has been completely transformed by Su Ming. As for the original gold, Su Ming looked up at the sky, where there was an inconspicuous star. But Su Ming knew that there was nothing there originally. If the five elders want to tear each other apart, then go ahead. Come to think of it, those old guys have been in this position for quite a long time, and one of them is in charge of finances. You know, with me here, isn't he a little redundant as the person in charge of finance? Su Ming seemed to be chatting, but also had some hidden meaning. Khalifa vaguely guessed Su Ming's thoughts. The world government probably has a lot of hidden cards. It's not wise to act now. Su Ming smiled but didn't explain. The world government has a trump card, and now we have the same. The moment the super large satellite orbital cannon was built, Su Ming's already pitiful offer the world government completely disappeared. If those old guys dare to show off in front of me again, I will definitely let them feel how passionate Susanoo's big P** Psi is. After hanging up the phone, Su Ming picked up five elders Den Mushi again and informed five elders that the CP9 members were leaving. Holy Land Mariajoy, Office of the Five Elders. The five old men who had painted the sofas with patina no longer had their former calmness on their faces, and they all looked angry and glared. Su Ming's close attack caught everyone off guard. You are digging into the world government wall now, Kakuzu is no longer hiding, right? Advertisement. This Su Ming is simply lawless. He only opposed us in secret before, but now he dares to openly steal our world government's people. What is he going to do? Is he planning to chase the five of us away someday? The curly-haired five elders was so angry that veins popped out on his forehead. He was the one who answered the call just now. Now thinking back to the tone of Su Ming's Den Mushi that was totally non-negotiable, he still felt a little upset. Hello, five elders, tell me, I have hired those people from CP9. Don't call them if you don't have anything to do. It may cause misunderstandings. Beep, 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 beep. This was all that Su Ming said on the phone just now. He hung up the phone without any discussion or even a chance to refute. I have been a five elders for 800 years and have never suffered such injustice. We can't let this guy be so arrogant any longer. Although he is still on the side of the world government, he is no longer on the same side with us. I suggest that we get rid of him, said five elders, who was leaning on a cane. We couldn't do anything. He barely took care of things. We couldn't even cause trouble. Besides, he controls the newspapers and is in control of the public opinion. We cannot argue with him. Five elders, the portly man in charge of legal affairs, said in a deep voice. Since we can't do anything, let the pirates take action to get rid of him. At most it will cost more. After the curly-haired five elders finished speaking, silence fell over the room. When he looked up, he saw that the other five elders were all looking at him with strange expressions. Do you know what you are talking about? Others don't know, but you don't know it yourself. Look at this ocean, which 4 emperors have not been beaten by that guy. As for giving benefits, are you sure you want to compete financially with that monster? Don't you want living expenses for next month? The curly-haired five elders finally realized what a stupid suggestion he had made. Damn it, I'm so mad at this guy. Is there really nothing we can do about this guy now? He is the Marine Admiral after all. If we attack him without even a reason, it will be very troublesome. It is even possible that the Marine will completely stand against the world government. The room fell silent again. Finally, the 5 elders, holding a long sword in his arms, slowly spoke. Since we can't find any problems with him, let's start with the people around him and make them reveal their flaws. Doesn't Garp have 2 grandsons who are pirates? If they were captured, Su Ming wouldn't be able to remain indifferent. Chapter 219. Enel's Lobby Incident, Encounter with Water City. The 5 elders have a lot of calculations. Just as several people thought, as Garp's disciple, Su Ming certainly couldn't sit idly by when Luffy and Ace got into trouble. Even if it means falling out with the world government, we will still take action. Right now, the 5 elders just need a legitimate reason to take action against Su Ming. Several of them never thought about whether they could be Su Ming's opponent. As top powers who have ruled the world for 800 years, these people are absolutely confident in their own strength. What's more, the world government still has many cards up its sleeve. Seraph, ancient weapon Uranus, any one of them is enough to turn the tide of the battle. At least, a few people thought so. However, before the plan could be implemented, a phone call disrupted 5 elders' plan. What? Straw Hat Luffy and his gang broke into Enel's lobby. Marine actually let that guy escape. Who was going to chase? On the other end of the Den Mushi, the staff member said in a trembling voice. Yes, it was Vice Admiral Garp who went after them. 5 elders. You guys are G geniuses, having Garp go after your own grandson. What's the difference between this and holding a farewell ceremony? What's the CP9 in Enel's lobby doing? They let the pirates break into such an important place, and they just walk away so brazenly. The curly-haired 5 elders asked angrily. On the other end of the Den Mushi, the staff looked embarrassed. After Lucci's crew left, Spandam was the only CP9 member stationed in Enel's lobby. His strength. Working under the world government, the staff are quite familiar with Spandam, a company with connections there. This guy's strength is hard to describe in a few words. It is hard to imagine how much money his father spent to promote such a useless son to the position of chief of CP9. The curly-haired 5 elders didn't listen to the staff's report anymore. He hung up the phone angrily with a snap. It looks like the plan will have to be postponed for a while. Advertisement. Garp has gone after Straw Hat Luffy. His other relative Ace is on Whitebeard's ship. Let's wait for another opportunity. As long as Su Ming reveals a flaw, it will give us a reason to take action. Don't hesitate, eliminate him immediately. He is now the biggest threat to the world government. In the minds of the 5 elders, Su Ming's danger level finally reached the highest level, even more dangerous than the Revolutionary Army. This also gave the Revolutionary Army, which had been targeted by the world government, a sigh of relief. At the Revolutionary Army base, Dragon was reading a newspaper with a smile on his face. Luffy is such a troublemaker for the old man and his uncle. Recently, the world government has relaxed its pursuit of the Revolutionary Army. As expected, every time when it comes to a critical moment, the leader will help us. It's easier to get things done if you have someone on the inside. Spread the message to other comrades. Let's take advantage of this time to quickly liberate a few more kingdoms. Don't forget what the leader said. A single spark can start a prairie fire. Don't confront the world government head on. We must adopt the strategic approach of surrounding the cities from the countryside. Yes, the generals of the Revolutionary Army were energized and looked excited. City of Water. Night bar. In front of the bar. Looking at the table full of delicious food, Luffy's eyes sparkled. Are these really all given to us? Nami couldn't believe it. Sanji's face showed a look of shock. These are all rare ingredients worth a fortune. How much do they cost? Behind the bar manager smiled and said, not much, probably around 200 to 300 million. You can enjoy it without worry, someone has already paid for it. When they heard the number of 2 or 300 million, the Straw Hat guys felt upset. Nami almost fainted. Fortunately, the staff was standing behind him and supported him in time, so he did not fall to the ground. 300 million. Nami propped herself up and saw that Luffy was ready to eat, so she immediately hit Luffy hard and strangled him. Advertisement. Shut up, you idiot. This is 300 million. If you just eat it like this, I will fight you to the death. Nami rubbed her hands together and approached the bar manager, smiling and asked, well, handsome uncle, you just said that someone has paid for the meal, but we really don't have much appetite right now, how about you help us get a discount on the meal? Not 300 million, 250 million. No, 200 million will do. The bar manager still maintained a polite smile, but the words he spoke sounded so cold in Nami's ears. I'm sorry, ma'am, this bar doesn't provide this kind of service. Also, please be reminded that many of the foods here are top quality ingredients. If you miss the best tasting time, the taste will be greatly reduced. Nami still didn't give up. No, uncle, not 200 million, 100 million. 50 million. 50 million will do. Ha ha ha, don't worry about it. This is something that the kid specially asked someone to treat you. If you don't eat it, I will not be polite. Just as Nami was tearfully tugging at the bar manager's clothes, a loud laugh came from outside the bar. Everyone looked towards the bar entrance at the same time. However, the next second, the wall of the night bar was broken by a punch. Because of the backlight, one could only see the visitor's sturdy figure, but not his appearance. Everyone drinking in the bar opened their eyes wide with a look of horror on their faces. Night. The night bar was attacked. It's over. Hurry up and escape from here. The Thunder Emperor will be here soon. The people who were drinking ran out of the bar as if they were escaping for their lives. In the blink of an eye, only Luffy, the burly figure, and the bar staff were left in the bar. As the figure approached, everyone finally saw the person's appearance. The bar manager nodded and saluted the visitor. Vice Admiral Garp, welcome. It is an honor for our store to have you here. Ha ha ha, it seems that I am quite famous. Garp, wearing the dog head hat given by Su Ming, swaggered into the tavern through the hole. The bar manager smiled and said respectfully, Vice Admiral Garp, according to the rules, if you damage the finances of the night bar, you must pay 10 times the compensation. However, given your status, we cannot treat you according to the usual rules. That would make our little shop seem too ignorant. Garp curled his lips. Although he had to pay compensation, he felt that the other party's words were quite respectful to him. It seems that Su Ming still has some conscience. But the bar manager's next words made Garp's smile freeze on his face. The boss has specifically told us that if you, Vice Admiral Garp, come here and damage public property, you will have to pay 30 times the amount. The amount has already been deducted from your salary. Welcome to our place, and I hope you'll come again next time. Chapter 220 Luffy. You old B****************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************Who felt so proud just a second ago, almost vomited blood. Su Ming. You little B******************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************** that his whole body exploded. The wooden boards of the bar creaked under the pressure. Except for Luffy, everyone else in the Straw Hat Pirates had a serious look on their faces. This old marine is so scary. Or we should just run. As for Luffy, his attention was entirely on the food in front of him from beginning to end. After stuffing a large amount of meat into his mouth, he finally turned his head back. Uki-san, Uki-san. Everyone looked at Luffy in surprise. When Garp heard Luffy calling him, he restrained his aura. Looking at Luffy, whose face was covered with meat residue, Garp showed a malicious smile. Hey, Grandpa is here to see you. Garp dodged and Zoro and Sanji had no reaction at all. Luffy had already been grabbed by Garp's collar and was lifted in the air like a chicken. Luffy was caught by Marine. Exclaimed Chopper, whose train of thought was always very simple. Garp ignored the Straw Hat crew members who were screaming nearby and looked at Luffy, half-jokingly asking. How about it? Your uncle and your father have both sent you off. Dad, he had seen his uncle before, but Luffy thought about his father carefully, but he didn't think of any relevant information. Garp punched Luffy in the head. Luffy, who has a rubber body, has a bulge on his head. It hurts. It hurts. It hurts. It hurts. It hurts. You old B****************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************** this your own father? He saw you off in Loafed Town. There was no way Garp didn't know that Dragon went to Loafed Town to rescue Luffy. However, Luffy's train of thought is always so unique. Loafed Town. Information about Loafed Town came to mind. Luffy's eyes suddenly widened in disbelief. You old B****************, D, you are such an old cow-eating young grass, Smoker is actually my dad. Iron Fist of Love. Go to hell, you stupid grandson. Advertisement. On the side, Zoro, Sanji, Nami and others turned their heads silently, unable to bear to watch. As expected, every beating Luffy received was for nothing. If you think in terms of slippers, Smoker can't be your dad. After giving Luffy a loving education for half an hour, Garp finally calmed down. Chasing Luffy and all that, of course, was just a pretense. Looking at the table full of delicious food, Garp was not polite at all. He sat down on the chair and started chewing with big mouthfuls. Luffy was unwilling to be outdone when he saw this. The grandfather and grandson were like two vacuum cleaners, and the food on the table began to decrease at a speed visible to the naked eye. Nami and others also joined the eating team after hesitating for a moment. Garp waved to the marine behind him and said, "Come on, this meal will be served to me, my disciple." The group of veterans following Garp were naturally not polite. They sat down and started eating, completely ignoring the opinions of Luffy and the others. Just like that, a strange scene appeared. A group of pirates and a group of marines sat together and ate like crazy. After eating and drinking, Garp leaned back on the sofa, picking his teeth while looking at Luffy and speaking. "You've caused quite a bit of trouble at Enel's lobby, little brat. This matter must have alarmed the higher-ups. This time, I took advantage of the fact that the higher-ups didn't react and stop the mission, but next time, I may not be so lucky." Luffy rarely talked back. He sat opposite Garp and listened obediently. "Oh, and about your father. Since you have already met your uncle, you probably know his identity. He is the current admiral of the Marine Corps, Su Ming. As for your father," Garp paused. Nami couldn't help her curiosity. "Grandpa, could it be that Luffy's father is also a Marine admiral?" Garp looked embarrassed. He is the man who was labeled as the most vicious criminal, the leader of the Revolutionary Army, Dragon." For a moment, the Straw Hat Pirate's brains seemed to freeze. "Wait, let me try first." As one of the external brains of the Straw Hat Pirates, Nami sat aside with his head covered. Luffy's uncle is the Marine Admiral. Advertisement. His grandfather was a Marine hero. His father is the leader of the Revolutionary Army. My brother is the captain of the 2nd Division of the strongest 4 emperors. Garp grinned, agreeing with Nami's statement. Luffy, you actually hid so much from us. You said before that you hated nobles. You are not a noble, but you are the biggest princeling in the world. Why are we sailing on this ocean? Captain, please take me to a life of eating and drinking without any dreams. Yeah, why would I need to look for a legendary sea? With your background, you can get any kind of food. Why would you go to the 4 seas? Just building a swimming pool at home can be considered a legendary sea. Shocking. The legendary place on the world's Grand Line is actually the bathtub of a rich young master. Robin added at the right time. Ahem. Garp coughed twice. To be precise, if we talk about this kid's uncle, he is also a nobleman. It's not very glorious to say it, but Su Ming is now a celestial dragon, one of the world's nobles. Straw Hat Crew. Luffy, give me back the cookies you stole from me yesterday. Luffy, could you ask your uncle to get me some history texts? I don't want to work hard anymore. I want to be your aunt. Robin seduced by flipping her hair. Damn it, are you making a wish? Can I have a few supreme swords? Quote. Quote. The Straw Hat Crew suddenly became lively. Each of them looks like they are about to be eaten up. Garp sat on the sofa and watched all this, but did not stop it. He could see that his grandson's friends were just talking and did not really reject Luffy because of his identity and background. This brat is really lucky. Seeing that his grandson was living well, Garp, the grandfather, felt relieved. He stood up and prepared to slip away before the bar manager could react. When he turned around, he saw the manager looking at Garp with a smile, dragging a tray in one hand, on which was the compensation bill. Garp. On Sky Island, in Su Ming's temple, Doflamingo stood respectfully beside him. Boss, I have something to report to you. I found a fairly capable guy under my command. It is the golden fruit, but his situation is rather special. Whether or not to absorb it depends on your opinion, boss. Chapter 221 The Young Golden Emperor. Golden Fruit. Su Ming showed an interested look. If I remember correctly, the user of the golden fruit's ability should be named Guild Tessero. In the movie, his strength is considered to be very good. At that time, he was known to control 20% of the world's Pele. Of course, looking back now, the latter statement seems a bit like bragging. With Guild Tessero's strength, let alone controlling 20% of the world's wealth, even 10% would have been eaten up by the 5 elders long ago. Without strength, no matter how much wealth you have, it will just be accumulated for others. Obviously, in the original book, this guy is just a shield pushed to the front by celestial dragons and world government to do some dishonorable things and plunder some wealth by the way. White glove work. Boss, do you want to meet this guy? Seeing Su Ming in a daze, Doflamingo asked tentatively. Su Ming came back to his senses and smiled. Go meet him, bring him to Sky Island. Doflamingo nodded to show that he understood and quietly exited the temple. Now Sky Island has been turned into Su Ming's own territory. After all, Marine is too closely related to world government, and is not a good choice as a foundation. If the world government suddenly attacks one day, it will be difficult for the Marine to react immediately. But it's very different on Sky Island. The sky and the sea are huge natural barriers, and it is impossible to reach them by ordinary means. As long as we stay on Sky Island, more than 70% of the world government's trump cards will be useless. What's more, Su Ming has 2 other cards. Lion Fruit, and these aboriginal warriors on Sky Island. After killing the Golden Lion, the Lion Fruit has been kept in Su Ming's hands and has never found a suitable user. The real strength of this top devil fruit, which was once on par with the shock fruit, has never been in its attack power, but in that after reaching the level of fruit awakening, it is equivalent to having an air force plus a deterrent weapon. Golden Lion suffered a severe head injury and was unable to use Haki, but he still did not give up his dream of ruling the world, relying on this fruit. There is an island floating above your head at any time, and you can smash anyone you make unhappy with. It is quite intimidating. As for the other trump card, the Sky Island people. According to Su Ming's observations during this period, the wings behind these Sky Island people are not decorations. Many years ago, these wings should have allowed the people of Sky Island to fly long distances, at least there would be no problem traveling back and forth between the 4 seas and Sky Island. Advertisement. But later, for some unknown reason, the wings of the Sky Islanders degenerated and became decorations. But as long as the wings of these Sky Islanders are activated again, Su Ming will have an air force that can fight freely in the air. And this matter is not difficult for Su Ming. He also has an entire scientific team under him. 3 days later, Doflamingo returned to Sky Island again. There was a young man following him. Boss, the people are here. Doflamingo stood outside the door, very respectful. There was a hint of surprise in the eyes of the young man standing by. In his opinion, Doflamingo is already a top figure in this ocean. Who is worthy of such respect from him? Before the young man could figure out the answer, Su Ming's voice came from inside. Come in. The door then opened. Su Ming sat on a high throne, looking down at the visitor. Are you the user of the golden fruit? Su Ming asked. Guild Tessero was lost in thought and didn't react to Su Ming's words for a moment. Doflamingo, who was standing by, narrowed his eyes under his sunglasses and pressed his hand hard on Guild Tessero's shoulder. Gilder Tezulo fell to his knees. Dover, what are you doing? Shut up, you piece of shit. If you don't want to die, answer the boss's questions honestly. Gilder Tessero stood there in a daze. Ever since he met Doflamingo, he knew that he was a dangerous guy. But since he had already eaten the golden fruit, Gilder Tessero knew that Doflamingo would not kill him while he was still useful. The fact was just as he thought. Even though he did not choose to join Doflamingo's family, the other party was angry but did not show any intention to kill. But just now, Gilder Tessero clearly saw that there was murderous intent in Doflamingo's eyes, and he did not hesitate. Just now, if I dared to talk back, no matter what fruit I had eaten, Doflamingo would attack me without hesitation. There was only one reason that caused Doflamingo to change like this, and that was the mysterious man who was sitting on the throne against the light and whose appearance could not be seen clearly. Okay, don't scare me. Answer my question. Are you the user of the golden fruit? Advertisement. This time, Gilder Tessero didn't dare to hesitate any longer. He still had to save Stella and couldn't just die here in obscurity. Yes, sir, I am the user of the golden fruit. Su Ming stood up and walked down step by step. The golden fruit, although its properties are very similar to Logia, is actually paramesha, which can freely control gold and can turn objects it touches into gold for use. The only drawback is that the assimilated gold will return to its original shape when it encounters seawater. If it weren't for this weakness, it would really be an ability that could subvert the world. As he spoke, Su Ming had already walked down the platform and came in front of Gilder Tessero. After seeing Su Ming's appearance clearly, Gilder Tessero's eyes widened and his pupils kept trembling. Su Ming smiled slightly. Let me introduce myself. I am the current Marine Admiral Su Ming, and also the owner of the night bar. Gilder Tessero ignored the identity introduced by Su Ming. He looked at Su Ming with extremely complicated eyes. Shock, resentment, and the deep fear that ordinary people would never notice. However, Su Ming used his observation haki to keenly capture Gilder Tessero's emotions. Interesting, we haven't seen it before. Gilder Tessero gritted his teeth and said, "You are celestial dragons." Su Ming suddenly realized. The look Gilder Tessero gave him just now suddenly made sense. Before becoming the Golden Emperor, this guy had another identity, a slave of celestial dragons. Even his lover fell into the hands of celestial dragons. Celestial dragons' training for slavery is extremely perverted and horrific. Even if you escape, you will be left with a lifelong psychological trauma. Seeing Su Ming standing in front of him almost defenseless, Gilder Tessero's eyes flashed with murderous intent. However, before he could do anything, Doflamingo on the side noticed it in advance and shot out several thin threads from his fingers, connecting to Gilder Tessero's limbs. There was also a thin wire wrapped around Gilder Tessero's neck, so that his head could be cut off at any time if he made any unusual movement. Boss, I'm sorry I didn't know this guy was this kind of person. I'm going to get rid of him now. Doflamingo said as he prepared to take action. Fear once again appeared in Gilder Tessero's eyes. But Su Ming smiled slightly, hooked a finger on Doflamingo's silk thread, which looked thin but was actually tougher than steel bars, and broke the thread with a slight force. Su Ming smiled at Gilder Tessero and said, "Don't be nervous. Although I am a celestial dragon, if you have a grudge against celestial dragons, we can still talk. It's not a big problem for me to help you kill a few celestial dragons." Chapter 222, Tattoos of Social People. Gilder Tessero stared at Su Ming blankly, his eyes somewhat incredulous. What did you say? It wasn't that Gilder Tessero didn't hear clearly, but he couldn't believe what he heard. One of the celestial dragons actually said that he would help you kill other celestial dragons. Su Ming smiled and patted Gilder Tessero on the shoulder. Doflamingo also withdrew his hand and stopped using his ability to control Gilder Tessero. Don't make a fuss. Celestial dragons are human too. They're not unkillable. While speaking, Su Ming had already walked behind Gilder Tessero. Before Gilder Tessero could react, Su Ming grabbed Gilder Tessero's collar and pulled hard. Tear. Gilder Tessero's upper body clothing was torn to shreds. A dragon's hoof print was imprinted on Gilder Tessero's back. Is he really a slave? Doflamingo was a little surprised. Gilder Tessero's pupils trembled violently, and he subconsciously wanted to escape. As a slave of celestial dragons, if you are discovered at any time, you will be captured. Once caught, they will face a punishment worse than death. What's more, there was a celestial dragon standing in front of him. Unfortunately, Gilder Tessero's speed was not worth mentioning in Su Ming's eyes. Su Ming grabbed Gilder Tessero's shoulders, and under Gilder Tessero's horrified gaze, Su Ming smiled slightly, with electric light flashing in his palms. Ah! Gilder Tessero screamed in pain in the lightning. After a moment, the lightning dissipated, and Gilder Tessero fell to the ground, sweating all over and gasping for breath. UB************D. Celestial dragons are really no good. Kill me if you can. I will never be your slave again. Gilder Tessero shouted desperately at Su Ming. There was no desire for life in his eyes anymore. Rather than being captured by the celestial dragons again, he would rather die here. Just Stella. Sorry. Advertisement. Su Ming ignored Gilder Tessero who was roaring for death, and turned to look at Doflamingo with a smile. Go get him a mirror. Yes. Doflamingo nodded. Gilder Tessero was confused. You're not going to kill me. Haha. What new way of torturing me? Come on. Lousy is not afraid of you. Tisk tisk tisk. Su Ming shook his head, too lazy to explain to Gilder Tessero. Su Ming was not surprised by Gilder Tessero's condition, nor did he feel it was disrespectful. This was just a normal reaction of a person who was extremely frightened and wanted to die. No matter what he said at this moment, Guild Tessero would not believe it, so he could only let him calm down first. Soon two servants of God came back with Doflamingo carrying a mirror. Su Ming raised his chin and pointed in the direction of Guild Tesoro. Doflamingo understood and lifted the mirror behind Guild Tesoro. Guild Tessero was like a frightened beast. Just as he was about to dodge, he saw the image in the mirror. This is. In the mirror, my whole body was charred and with the tattered clothes, I looked extremely embarrassed, but that was not the point. The key point is the hoof print of the sky-soaring dragon behind you. The original mark on the back has disappeared, replaced by a mysterious pattern left by lightning. Put together. Well, it looks like a hair dryer, but why does this hair dryer have a nose and eyes? Su Ming walked up to Guild Tessero and looked at the pattern behind Guild Tessero, seeming to be very satisfied with his masterpiece. How about this pattern? Do you like it? In my hometown, this is a very social totem, Peppa Pig the wild boar. Guild Tessero was stunned for a while before he reacted. Is this a pig? Yeah, doesn't it look like it? Su Ming sat on a chair, playing with a mini thunder dragon in his hand, as if to say, if you dare to say it doesn't look like it, I'm going to chop you to death. Guild Tessero swallowed and forced out a smile that was uglier than crying. Picture. Yes, that's right. It seems that you have artistic talent. You can appreciate such abstract art. Guilder Tessero seemed to say, thank you, twice. I'm not flattering you. I don't know anything about art. I'm just afraid of pain. Just thinking about the thunder and lightning just now makes me scared. Well, boss, I am willing to follow you, but can you please change this totem? Advertisement. If Su Ming didn't say it, I would be able to accept it. But now I know I have a pig tattooed on my back, even if I am a social pig, it is not decent. After this, when he showed his tattoo in front of me, Guilder Tessero felt sick just thinking about it. Unfortunately, Su Ming is a domineering boss who always listens quietly to the suggestions of his employees and never adopts them. Don't worry, this one is pretty good. If you insist on changing it, I can only change it to braised pork elbow. It's your choice. Doflamingo standing by was about to faint from holding back his laughter. If the dish is really changed to braised pork elbow, Guild Tessero can directly switch career to become a chef. There is no good person who would tattoo a dish behind someone's back. One must really love food to do such a thing. After weighing the pros and cons, Guild Tessero felt that this Peppa Pig was also quite cute, at least much better than the cooked braised pork elbow. Su Ming patted Guild Tessulo on the shoulder. Without anyone noticing, a hidden bolt of lightning penetrated Guild Tessero's back. The ball of lightning behind Guild Tessero flickered slightly, but soon went out. From now on, your code name in the organization will be Jesus, and you will be in charge of the financial operations of all entertainment venues except the night bar. Doflamingo will take you there first, and I will assign you a separate mission later. Yes, boss, I won't let you down. Guild Tessero saluted respectfully to Su Ming. Su Ming smiled. By the way, you still have a sweetheart in the hands of celestial dragons, right? Guild Tessero trembled, hesitated for a second, then nodded and replied, yes. Su Ming nodded. Sort out the information later and give it to me. Guild Tessero raised his head and looked at Su Ming excitedly. Su Ming asked me to give him Stella's information, so doesn't that mean he would help me rescue Stella? This is something I dream of doing. Boss, if you can rescue Stella, my life will belong to you. I will do whatever you ask me to do. Su Ming raised his eyebrows and smiled, then turned and walked out of the hall. According to the time, Stella should not be dead yet. After all, Guild Tessero has not been free for too long. But we have to hurry up. Simply relying on force to conquer is ultimately a bad idea. The best way to win people's hearts is to grasp their lifeline. Since I'm entrusting such an important financial matter to this guy, of course I have to ensure his loyalty. And Stella is the lifeblood of Guilder Tessero. Chapter 223 Training. In a blink of an eye, all of Sky Island's gold had been transported away in exchange for Bailey. Su Ming's position in the Kingdom of God has been completely consolidated. Su Ming didn't plan to stay here any longer and decided to return to Grand Line. With a dozen Sky Island warriors, plus Doflamingo, Enel, and Tessero, they reappeared on the Blue Sea. Boss, where are we going now? Doflamingo asked, standing behind Su Ming. Let's go to the research base first. I've already contacted Judge and Guy. Su Ming turned his head and looked at the dozen or so warriors brought down from Sky Island standing upright behind him. These are the warriors carefully selected by Su Ming during this period, and they are absolutely loyal to him. It has to be said that faith is indeed the best means to control people. Su Ming didn't stay in Sky Island for long. In such a short time, it was almost impossible to train warriors loyal to him. But if these soldiers are brainwashed in the name of God, it can be easy to make them sacrifice their lives for the so-called God. Your task is to cooperate with these researchers until the project is completed. Yes, a dozen Sky Island warriors had determined eyes, as if they were not doing an experiment but completing a sacred mission. The ship soon arrived at the scientific research base, where Judge and Guy had been waiting for a long time. Boss. When they saw Su Ming, they came forward enthusiastically. Su Ming nodded. Well, I'll leave these people to you. I hope I can see the results of the experiment next time I come. Judge walked around the Sky Islanders and circled around them twice, carefully observing the wings of several Sky Islanders. After doing all this, he nodded to Su Ming. No problem, boss. It's just as you expected. The wings of these people are just degenerated. With the genetic technology you provided, they can be restored to their normal state. It shouldn't be a problem for them to fight in the air for a long time. Su Ming nodded with satisfaction. Okay, then I'll leave these people to you. After the matter was completed, Su Ming was ready to leave. The judge suddenly called Su Ming again. Boss. Anything else? The judge looked hesitant. Advertisement. Su Ming understood. It's okay, let's talk here, there are no outsiders here. Enel and Tezulo behind him straightened their bodies, feeling touched by Su Ming's recognition. Seeing this, the judge no longer concealed it. It's like this, boss. Recently, the world government came to Vegapunk. They seem to be developing a seastone weapon in the deep sea. And we got news that the development of this weapon should be specifically aimed at you. The specific purpose is still under investigation. Su Ming laughed when he heard this. World government is indeed restless, but this calculation is wrong, seastone. This kind of thing is effective for ordinary fruit ability users, but for myself, I can only say that I think too much. Moreover, the world government made a fatal mistake by conducting deep-sea research for the sake of secrecy. Even if you don't know that my apprentice is Poseidon, don't you know that she is a mermaid? How is this different from researching right under your nose? But on second thought, Su Ming felt relieved. It is actually reasonable for the 5 elders to make such a decision. If it weren't for my intervention, Shirahoshi Poseidon's ability would not have been fully awakened by now, and it would be almost impossible to expect her to gather intelligence. As for the mermaids, the arrogant celestial dragons have never taken this alien race seriously. Even 5 elders are no exception to this. With these 2 prerequisites, it is not surprising that 5 elders made such a decision. Don't worry about them, I'll ask someone to take care of this matter. After saying goodbye to Judge and Guy, Su Ming did not return to naval headquarters with Doflamingo, Tezulo and Enel. Instead, the 3 of them were placed in the night bar. After all, Doflamingo is also a pirate, Tessero is a slave of celestial dragons, plus a thunderfruit user whose origin is unknown. It is really too eye-catching. Night bar headquarters training ground. Su Ming hugged his shoulders and looked at the 2 people in front of him. Tisk, I have to say, you 2 are really too weak. Those celestial dragons who like to wear fish tanks on their heads may be mostly mentally retarded, but they were able to rule the world for 800 years, so they are still quite powerful. With your current strength, going there would be no different from sending your heads to waste. In the next period of time, I will give you special training. Tesoro, your focus should be on developing the power of the fruit, and the 2-color hockey. It's fine if you want to rescue Stella yourself, but the premise is that you can't expose yourself. Tezulo is still of great use to me, and I don't want this guy to be labeled a wanted criminal. Although even if I really got into trouble, I have ways to clear myself of the blame, but it is still a troublesome thing. Advertisement. Besides, the relationship between him and the 5 elders is tense right now, so he has to be careful about everything. Tezulo took a deep breath and said with a firm expression, Yes, boss, I will definitely not reveal my identity. With hope in his heart, Tessero's whole mental state was different. Su Ming nodded with satisfaction and turned to look at Enel beside him. You have developed your fruit ability quite well. The next step is awakening. But hockey is your weakness. You have no countermeasures against other nature fruit users and some special paramesha fruit abilities. So the focus of your training is on practicing hockey. Enel's eyes became excited after hearing this. Is Su Ming finally going to teach me the power that can defeat me? It's just hockey. I can definitely master it easily. After conquering Sky Island, although Enel no longer calls himself a god in front of Su Ming, his middle school mentality hasn't changed at all, and it seems to be getting worse. Su Ming was too lazy to correct this. Let this guy do whatever he wants. Besides, this middle school look seems to be more in line with the identity of Lady, the boss behind the night bar. It's strange to say, but every time Su Ming took action in the past few years, he didn't seem to do anything childish, he just showed off his muscles in front of the public. But as time went by, the rumors about the Thunder Emperor on the sea became more and more mysterious. Fortunately, there is no such profession as storyteller in the world of Pirates King. Otherwise, given how well-known his nickname, Thunder Emperor, is outside, maybe he could have written up a prequel and a sequel to Thunder Emperor. There is one more sentence to add to the comments on the book. He is like the demon slayer from heaven and truly the Tai Sui god on earth. That scene, Su Ming couldn't help but shudder just thinking about it. Looking at Enel, who was also a middle school student, Su Ming patted his shoulder seriously. He took out the Thunder Emperor's exclusive mask from his arms. From now on, whenever you display your fruit power to others, wear this mask. Remember, you are the Thunder Emperor from now on. Su Ming handed the mask to Enel. Suddenly I felt that this scene was somewhat familiar, as if a few years ago, someone else had also received the props I gave as a gift. But later on, he was beaten badly by Teacher Guy. Just as Su Ming thought about it, he could already feel the resentment coming from Doflamingo behind him. Chapter 224 Puppetry, Sabaody Archipelago. Sensing Doflamingo's resentment, Su Ming scratched his head and smiled awkwardly. Although Ming Jie has now become his subordinate, Kaiduo does not dare to cause trouble for him again. But because of the Virgo incident, Ming Jie was bullied by Teacher Guy a lot. But now all these things are in the past. Doflamingo had already appeased Virgo. Come to think of it, I really owe Doflamingo something. It just so happens that it's time to improve Brother Ming's strength. Su Ming thought about it and came up with an idea. System, are there any skills related to puppetry in the mall? Ding. A complete collection of the world's top puppet secrets of Hokage, the required points for redemption, 200,000. As Su Ming expected, there really is puppetry in the system mall. It would be most appropriate to give this thing to Ming Jie. String, fruit and puppetry are a perfect match. In the Hokage world, puppetry has two biggest weaknesses. The puppet itself is of poor quality and can be easily destroyed by external forces. Another problem is that the wires that control the puppets are too fragile. Once they are cut, the puppets become useless and it becomes difficult to connect them again. But these Pirates King's worlds are not a problem. The puppet can be made entirely of rare metals. If you are bold enough, you can even let the puppet eat devil fruit. By then, it would not be impossible to control more than a dozen puppets together and perform a fusion technique. 200,000 slacking points were just a drop in the bucket for Su Ming right now, so he chose to redeem them directly. He waved towards Doflamingo. Boss. Dover came closer. Su Ming threw a book to him. This is. Dover was stunned and opened the book. Soon, after understanding the contents of the book, Doflamingo became completely upset. Boss, is this for me? Su Ming smiled and nodded. Doflamingo took a deep breath and calmed himself down. Advertisement. This puppetry book may not be that powerful. But the key is that this thing provides a new idea for Doflamingo's fruit ability. Although he found a new way and developed the originally not very powerful string fruit into a very strong one. But he could now vaguely feel that his fruit was almost reaching its limit. There are always some idiots on the sea who say that there is no difference in strong or weak fruit abilities. Every time Doflamingo hears such words, he wants to slap them in the face. If there really is no difference in the power of fruits, then why are the auction prices so high and so low? Why does the world government allow some fruits to circulate outside, while some special fruits are always firmly controlled? I think this thing suits you very well. After you have thoroughly studied puppetry, go find Judge and Guy. They have the materials. Ask them to make a puppet for you and attach some weapons to it. Doflamingo's eyes lit up when he heard this. Boss, I understand. According to Su Ming, his strength will be greatly improved. It is almost as good as 4 emperors. If there is any difference, it may be the use of Conqueror's Haki. Su Ming looked at Doflamingo. This guy's potential is definitely more than just a Shichibukai. With proper training, it would not be difficult to reach the strength of 4 emperors. 2 months passed quickly. Under Su Ming's training, Tezulo and Enel's strength grew rapidly. The two of them had a good foundation to begin with, what they lacked was only guidance. In 2 months, the two of them have mastered the armament Haki and observation Haki. Although it is still some distance away from the advanced Haki, combined with the power of the fruit, it has a strong combat capability and will not be a drag anymore. In the training ground, Enel and Tessero are fighting. Suddenly a figure rushed in between the two of them. The figure was unusually tall, at least 4 or 5 meters tall. Although each attack was not attached with armament Haki, the sound of metal clashing could be heard when they fought. As soon as the figure appeared, Enel and Tessero were put at a disadvantage. Su Ming sat under the shade of a tree and watched this scene, enjoying the fun. Dover, put in some effort and stop slacking off. Didn't you see how I trained these two guys? Not far away, Dover felt ashamed. Advertisement. Of course he saw how Su Ming trained Enel and Tezulo. The problem is that he can't do it. To put it in a positive way, Su Ming's training of the two people was called training. To put it in a negative way, it was no different from hunting them down. Sword energy continued to sweep across the ground, and lightning flashed from the sky from time to time. Su Ming could pat his chest and guarantee that he had absolutely nothing to hide from these two people. After all, I received the same treatment when I trained my eldest nephew. When Doflamingo heard that Luffy had undergone this kind of training as a child, he suddenly felt that his own childhood was nothing. Although my childhood experiences have made me no longer have illusions about kindness. But if you think about it, if you were to experience the childhood of the Straw Hat Boy, it is hard to say whether you would survive. After hearing Su Ming blame him for being too lenient, Doflamingo no longer held back. Swish. In an instant, 3 more figures joined the battlefield. Doflamingo's fingers also began to fiddle quickly. Different from the previous puppets that were clearly more powerful, the 3 figures that appeared again had one slender figure and one with a well-proportioned figure. The last one had a long sword on his back. Although Doflamingo controls all the puppets, they each have different focuses. With the addition of these 3 puppets, Tezulo and Enel began to become embarrassed. Damn, Dover, you can actually control 4 puppets at the same time. That's not bad, but these slow guys can't touch me. Enel, wearing a mask, said with some sarcasm. Doflamingo said nothing, but smiled and moved his right index finger slightly. The puppet carrying a long sword had already drawn the sword from its back and slashed the 2 men in the waist. The slender puppet's eyes flashed with golden light, and then shot out 2 lasers at an extremely fast speed. The laser flew past Enel's little brother. Enel's hair stood on end. Damn it, Dover, are you serious? It's just a sparring match, but you're using seastone and laser weapons. Doflamingo chuckled and moved his hands faster. Su Ming held a can of beer and watched the fight. Hey, Enel, be careful. Dover is the latest weapon developed by Kaji. If it really hits you, you will really have to replace your little brother with a titanium alloy one. Su Ming was quite satisfied with the strength of the few people. At the same time, after Luffy and his crew experienced the incident at Eni's lobby, they also came to Sabaody Archipelago. Chapter 225 Return to the Holy Land Mariajoy. Seeing that the strength of several people had improved to a similar level, Su Ming finally decided to take them to the Holy Land of Mariajoy. Okay, pack up, the three of you follow me, and we're going to rescue Stella today. Since we are going to rescue people, of course we can't do it in a big way. Su Ming did not plan to drive the merchant ship of the night bar, so he just found a small boat and took Tesoro, Doflamingo and Enel to board Mariajoy. When we arrived at the Mariajoy gate, there were some ignorant guys who asked us for passes. However, after seeing clearly that the person coming was Su Ming, the guards at the gate quickly opened the door. The three people following Su Ming saw all of this. It was also further confirmed that the celestial dragons here were indeed very afraid of Su Ming. Even from the look of the guards, the celestial dragons were a little scared of this old man. Only after stepping through the gate did they truly step onto this land. When Tesoro thought about seeing his long-lost lover, he was so excited that he could hardly calm down. Doflamingo looked at the familiar yet unfamiliar buildings around him and couldn't help feeling a little nostalgic. I didn't expect to set foot here again, Doflamingo said faintly. Su Ming glanced at Doflamingo, smiled slightly and said nothing. The identity of celestial dragons has become Doflamingo's obsession. In fact, the power he holds now is no weaker than that of the celestial dragons. But his childhood experiences still bothered him. As for Enel, it is different from both Tesoro and Dover. He stroked his chin and looked around thoughtfully. This is where the gods of Qinghai live. It doesn't look that great. Having been at the Grand Line for nearly 3 months, Enel naturally has some common sense about this sea. Let's go, we are not here to visit, let's find Stella first. Su Ming reminded several people and walked forward, while fully unfolding his observation hockey. Before coming, Su Ming had asked Tesoro to describe Stella's appearance and had the painter draw it. All he had to do was look for her according to the portrait. However, even after searching the entire Mariajoy with his observation hockey, Su Ming still couldn't find Stella. This is definitely not good news for several people. Stella is not in Mariajoy, so there are only 2 possibilities. Advertisement. One was that they had been killed, and the other was taken away as a pet by the celestial dragons who were out on the road. The second possibility is not very high. Su Ming has been working on celestial dragons for a long time, and he has a good understanding of the consistent tone of these purebred celestial dragons. Celestial dragons treat their slaves like pets. These guys seem to be very obsessed with destroying the will of an intelligent life and turning it into a livestock. Celestial dragons love slaves like slave owners in a certain state did in the last century. To them, slaves were like commodities and were not of the same kind as themselves. Therefore, not too much value would be invested in these slaves, and the possibility of taking them out was also very small. Unless they are some particularly favorite slaves. Su Ming frowned slightly. Is it too late, and Stella has already died at the hands of celestial dragons after being tortured to death? If that's the case, it would be troublesome. Tesoro, who was standing by, also noticed something was wrong. He looked at Su Ming nervously and asked, "Boss, is there any news about Stella?" Now Stella is everything in Tesoro's life. He finally had some hope, and if it was shattered again, Tesoro would definitely have a mental breakdown. Su Ming took a breath and looked at Tesoro with relief. Don't worry, not all celestial dragons are in Mariajoy all year round. I will ask someone to investigate which celestial dragons are not in the Holy Land. Don't worry, I will stand by you no matter what. Su Ming expressed his guess as obscurely as possible. Tesolo's nerves began to tense up again. In front of Enel and Doflamingo, Tesoro knelt directly in front of Su Ming. Boss, Stella is in your hands. Please, please save her. From now on, my life belongs to you. As long as you give me your orders, I will never say no. At this moment, Tesoro has placed all his chips on Su Ming. Looking at Tesoro who seemed to have grabbed the last straw, Su Ming sighed secretly in his heart and stepped forward to help Tesoro up. Don't worry, since I've brought you to Mariajoy, no matter what, this will have an outcome. Tesoro stood up, and Su Ming took out a small Den Mushi from his arms. Unlike other Den Mushi, this one doesn't have an answer button. Advertisement. Khalifa, mobilize the intelligence network now and tell me the location of all celestial dragons in detail, quickly. Khalifa, who had just returned to the night bar, heard Su Ming's voice coming from the Den Mushi and his expression became serious. This Den Mushi was specially made by Su Ming for Judge. It is only used for single-line communication between 2 people, and there is absolutely no risk of eavesdropping. The 2 also agreed that they would only use this phone for very important matters. Okay, I understand. I'll give you news in 10 minutes. Once an order was issued, all the night bars across the sea received the news. In less than 3 minutes, the information was sorted out. Su Ming heard the locations of all the celestial dragons, including Mariajoy, in the entire ocean. Even the trajectory of life can be clearly understood. The 3 people behind him heard the report from the Den Mushi in Su Ming's hand and gained a better understanding of the power that Su Ming controlled. Investigating celestial dragons is a very difficult task. In less than 3 minutes, all the information about celestial dragons was thoroughly investigated. The power under Su Ming has reached a terrifying level. Doflamingo, who often deals with the world government, knows that even the world government's intelligence organization cannot investigate this information so quickly. Perhaps no one in this sea has discovered it yet. In the past few years, without anyone noticing, a huge force that surpasses the world government has quietly risen. Su Ming integrated the information about celestial dragons in his mind. At the same time, in the slave auction house in the Sabaody Islands, Luffy's punch had already punched a hole in the sky. The 5 elders received the news first. Kizaru, as the fastest admiral, was sent to rescue the situation immediately. After arranging all this, the 5 elders in the office looked at each other. Straw Hat Luffy beat celestial dragons, this is an opportunity for us. We have never had an excuse to take action against Su Ming. This is our chance. Yes, let Su Ming also catch Straw Hat Luffy. If he fails to catch him, punish him. Take this opportunity to get rid of him. The 5 of them hit it off immediately. The Den Mushi that Su Ming used to contact the 5 elders rang again. After hanging up the phone, Su Ming showed a sneer on his face and turned to look at the 3 people. Let's go to the Sabaody Islands. There happens to be a celestial dragons there that likes to collect slaves. Let's see if we can find any trace of Stella.